And a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome inside historic Bossy Field, where the Evansville Otters hope to keep the good times rolling against the Washington Wild Things. A good evening to you. He's Bill McEwen. I'm Matthew Will. Joining you for another edition of Otters Baseball. And, last night we got to see Evansville struggle on the mound just a little bit there in the opening stages, but the defense really came in to help Brett Adcock. And then for once in maybe 2 weeks, the offense felt spread across the 9 innings and was able to continue the pressure all night.
Yes, an unprecedented 4 double plays, and each one was a very, very important one, including that second inning when Adcock had the bases loaded, 1 out, and that double play, my God.
Right after the botched double play.
Exactly. And I thought, they were going to score like 5 or 6 runs in that inning, and they only got 1. But what surprised me, Matthew, was the fact that I didn't realize that Adcock only had 1 strikeout. I mean, here tonight, the last time he pitched, he gets 14 strikeouts. Now he throws 5 2/3. He only had 1 strikeout. My God, what a difference.
Well, and, I think the big thing all night for the former University of Michigan prospect here right now is that it was an outing where he got to see his defense help him a lot. And then the last one out when he had his 14 strikeouts, that's what really carried the game. This time, it was a completely flipped script. He let the ball get put into play a little bit more, and that was all right.
Yeah, what surprised me, though, was the 5 walks. That 14 strikeouts, I think he had 1 or 2 walks. I'm not sure. 1, yeah. And here he gets a 5 last night. 2 different pitchers, however, a quality pitcher. That's what we're win, lose, or draw. It was a quality pitcher.
When you could either look at the defensive effort, which stranded 15 Wild Things on base last night, unreal on that side, or you can look at the offense for the Otters, which had 5 different guys with multi-hit outings. Sinsley, Khalil, Felix, and Armstrong all had 2 hits. Armstrong, Khalil, Sinsley, Baez all had 2 hits. Justin Felix had 3 hits and 2 RBIs. The back end of this lineup last night went crazy in the game, and that was great to see.
Yeah, and I noticed Armstrong's not even in the lineup tonight. I mean, he committed so many. Of course, he committed an error there, and that was uncharacteristic of Mr. Armstrong. But, the best make errors. I know I make errors. Well, and someone told me that you were once quoted as saying that's why erasers are in pencils, because people make mistakes.
Well, and that's the wonderful thing about baseball is, unlike so many other sports, it's okay to fail.
Right.
Failing 70% of the time is still considered a huge success in this sport.
A $1 million player.
Absolutely. And, it's important at times to step back and recognize this is a lower level of baseball for a reason. These guys are trying to build those skills and work their way up. Last night, though, we saw a team that did not care who they were facing because, by the way, Rob Whalen on the mound for Washington last night, one of the best in the league this year, a former major leaguer, and they just faced him like any other guy.
Well, you started the game off last night praising that young man, saying he led the league in wins with 9-1 record, but he left the game last night with a 9-2 record. So, yes, it makes some difference. As I used to say when I coached, I don't care who's on the mound. Roger Clemens, Bob Feller, I don't care. Hey, they all have to throw the same baseball, the same size, and they got to throw it over a plate, which is the same, and whether it's Little League, Babe Ruth, or high school, or college, or Major League.
Well, when all was said and done, the Otters won 6-2, even though they were out-hit 14-12. But at the end of the night, everyone can kind of sit back and go, that one felt good. That was a big win for this club.
Well, I said this last night. You gave me a double look when I said, I'm going home and celebrate with a big glass of cold milk. And you looked at me and like, he must be crazy. Well, I did get home, and I opened the refrigerator, and I poured myself a big glass of cold milk and a little strawberry pie, and I enjoyed that. And I said, I wonder what Matthew was thinking now.
Well, I can definitely speak for the night before, losing on the walk-off home run, getting on the bus and having to go 6 hours home. It left a sour taste in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
But last night was I mean, that's the perfect way to kick off this series. Now, no matter how these next two games go, you've put yourself in a very good spot to potentially be tied at the All-Star break for first and be a little more comfortable.
Well, as you say, I mean, here we got two games, tonight and tomorrow. If the Otters win tonight and lose tomorrow, they're both in first place, just like they are right now. So no matter what, if we split, it's going to be a H-E-C-K, heck of a ball game.
And I tell you what, it is going to be 6 really quick weeks when we come back next week after the All-Star break. This is going to be a sprint to the finish. There is not one team that is very far out of it. As we will give you a quick glance through the Seal Court Frontier League standings. Coming into the evening, Evansville and Washington tied at the top of the West Division due to the head-to-head. Evansville technically has the head-to-head, so I guess you could say Evansville's the top team right now. 4.5 back is Schaumburg. They got a big win last night. Gateway at 5.5 back. Little gap to Joliet, 7.5 back. Then you see a bigger gap to 9, 10.5, and 13 back for Lake Erie, Windy City, and Florence. On the East Division, though, watch out. Quebec has won 10 straight games, and they're now 5 games above Ottawa. They're starting to put a big damper between them. Sussex County's in third, 9 games back. So there is a huge gap over there. But between Sussex and New Jersey, the 3rd spot to the 7th spot, all decided by 2 games. That's going to be a fun division to watch over there as well. Empire State still bringing up the rear. It's exactly what we wanted coming into this year.
Oh, yeah.
You had a new look of divisions in the Frontier League. You went, what's it going to look like competitive-wise? And it's lived up to it. Everyone's competing.
I know. I was surprised when we incorporated that new league to make it now a combination league, whatever you want to say it is. And I was wondering, how's it going to work out? How's it going to be? And so far, it worked out pretty good. And the only thing I'm going to complain about, and you, when you go to that All-Star game, you can say, Bill McCune said, I disagree with getting those All-State ballots out late. They should have been out a week or two beforehand to give everyone time to analyze instead of rushing. You know, you get them in front of you and you say, oh, I got to hand it in by 12 o'clock tonight. So you start putting names down that shouldn't be there. So you say, Bill McCune said it.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, as I've looked through the All-Star rosters a couple times here in the last week, I think we've got a really good All-Star game on our hands. A lot of really talented players, and of course, I hope it gives exposure to these guys and gives them a chance at the next level.
Well, I know when I was scouting, and those are things that we always made sure we went to, because a scout never has a chance to see everybody all the time. But when you get an all-star team, it means you got the best in one location. So you always want to go. In fact, it was interesting. In the Eastern League All-Star game many, many years ago, the general manager of the Yankees, I got there a little late. And where they were allowing the seats, scouts to sit, there were no more seats. So the general manager of the Yankees looked up and said, hi, Bill, no seat? I said, no. He said, here, have mine. Can you imagine? The general manager of the New York Albany at that time was the AA franchise of the Yankees.
Well, they are including the hype video right now. They're going to introduce the players onto the field, and we've got the national anthem and first pitch just moments away here from beautiful Evansville, Indiana. The table is set for a great night of baseball. The weather's perfect. The matchup's perfect. 2 hungry teams. Can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, I know it. And the food is excellent. So if you haven't had supper, come on out. Enjoy brat and a soda, because I drink milk and iced tea. I don't drink too much soda. Only at the ballpark. Would you believe that?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, this is the only soda I drink all day long.
Well, we are just moments away from baseball here from historic Bosse Field. We're going to take a break for the national anthem, but on the other side, it's first pitch between the Washington Wild Things and Evansville Otters, who are tied atop the West Division. Beautiful night for baseball. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is next. Beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and we are ready for baseball from historic Bosse Field. Before we go any further, though, I want to remind you that Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Working Distributors Evansville.
Are you ready?
And without further ado, straight into the man on the mound, Ryan O'Reilly, grabbing another start this year, the second-year Otter out of McKenna, Illinois, is looking to add to his 4-3 season. He's put together a 4.59 ERA in his 10 starts thus far, carries a 2.67 batting average against, and in his last time up, he gave up 6 runs on 6 hits in 3 1/3 innings. He is certainly looking to wipe the slate clean, and that's exactly what the Otters would like out of it. A fresh start, get out there and get ahead early and see what you can do.
Well, he's got more strikeouts than he's got 52 strikeouts compared to 27 walks. Well, that's pretty near 1 for every 2. So I'll accept that. I'll take that.
It's O'Reilly on the mound and Buckner behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. You can call it 812-475-9000. Here's the men Ryan O'Reilly will be facing tonight for the Washington Wild Things. Nick Ward, who moved up to second in the league in batting average last night. The shortstop will hit off first. Then it's Scotty Dubrowl and Wagner Lagrange in the top 3. Andrew Check, Ian Walters, and Jared Mang round out the middle before we see Cole Brannon, Nick Pacheco, and Alex Alvarez round up the lineup.
Well, excuse me. I think Mr. Ward led off last night with a double, and he was batting, 370 something. I know he got 2 hits, so he had to go up in his batting average.
Yeah, he went up to 379 after last night's game. Only a couple of points because he's played so many games.
Well, that's the trouble. When you play a lot of games, you just go up and down a few. When you first start the season off, you get 3 for 10, you bat 300. Next day you go 0 for 4, and before you know it, you're batting 150.
So Nick Ward makes his way to the plate. We're ready for baseball here. Otters are wearing special Star Wars jerseys with script Evansville written across the front on the kind of Galaxy-style jerseys. As the first pitch to Ward is fouled back for strike 1. 6:35 first pitch.
You know, when I come in the game tonight, I thought I was going to get one of those swords that light up, that you wave at each other. But they didn't have any.
1-0 count for Nick Ward on the way from O'Reilly. Swinging strike 2 has Ward back in the count.
That was identical. That pitch was identical to the first pitch, which he fouled off. This one here, he didn't even touch, which means he's weak on that pitch tonight.
O'Reilly with a chance to start off with a strikeout. The 0-2. Called strike 3 on the outside edge. And Ryan O'Reilly will kick it off with a German-American Bank strikeout. Well, that's the way to wipe the slate clean and start off like that.
Yeah. Well, how many times have we started off with the first 2 batters striking out? We always end up having a good game. So let's say this is the beginning of a good game.
I mentioned that it's script Evansville on the front. The numbers are blue on the back. They're wearing the white pants and the blue hats with the white fronts. That's the full jersey for Evansville. We're seeing the alternates from Washington tonight. Gray pants, but the red tops with white numbers on the back and white, I believe, Washington written across the front. A little different look for both squads this evening.
Yeah. I think Charlie Finley, I stand to be corrected. I think Charlie Finley was the one who started this different colored shirts. I stand to be corrected.
1-0 stays outside. It's a 2-0 count to Scotty Dubrowl, who enters the game hitting at a 324 mark. The 2-0.
But 37 RBIs. That's all we talked about last night was the different Washington players that had so many RBIs.
It's incredible how many other guys have just tons of RBIs.
Yeah. I mean, not a Not a home run hitter, but just the ordinary hitter's got 30 or 40.
A 3-0 falls in for a called strike, taking the count to 3-1. O'Reilly will kick and deliver. It's chopped foul towards the Otters dugout. It's a full count now for Scotty Dubrowl.
He jammed him on that pitch. How he got around, I don't know, but if that's an indicator that he goes after the inside pitches, well, keep giving him.
Dubrowl ready on the 3-2. Way inside. It'll be a one-out walk here for the Wild Things.
We don't want that. We don't want to put men on base. Let them work their way on.
Batting third in right field number 6, Wagner.
That's going to bring up Wagner Lagrange, the right fielder this evening.
Another 300 batter, another 39 RBIs. So, I mean, is every guy going to approach the plate with 30 or plus RBIs?
Lagrange hails from the
Dominican
Republic, San Juan Province.
Oh.
Played last year in the Double-A for the Mets, playing for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies.
Where was that? In Albany, in New York, Birmingham, Binghamton.
Yeah.
Binghamton. That's where one of our former Josh Allen went. He was one of the greatest players the Otters ever had.
0-1, they're going to go check on the runner. It's a very good throw, but that's just a quick guy getting back.
Can you imagine someone going out in the middle of the night in the swamp with a flashlight looking for alligators? Oh, my God.
Jabril is 15 of 20 on his stolen base attempts this year. Keep an eye on him out there. They check on him again. And that's just the type of team Washington is. On the season, 96 of 123 in stolen base attempts.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, they've tried a lot. They've been successful a lot. The 0-1 to Lagrange. Put into play towards the left side of the infield. Picked up by Buckner. The throw to first is in time for out number 2. Certainly not a sacrifice bunt, or at least not an intentional one, but it kind of worked like one.
Yeah, but give Buckner a pretty good getting out from behind that plate and getting that ball and twirling and throwing a good shot to first base.
Well, he just had the better play there. O'Reilly trying to come in out of the sunlight, off the mounds. It was just smart for Buckner to take that play.
Oh, yeah, because, well, number one, he was closer, but at the same token, O'Reilly's got to get out of the way. Don't interfere with the fielder.
So Andrew Check, the impressive first baseman at the plate now. He made a couple of really good plays over at first last night.
Oh, okay, this is what, the fourth batter?
First pitch is inside. It gets past Buckner. Going to go all the way back towards the netting. And it's a 1-0 count with the runner at third and 2 outs.
This is the 4th batter that's been batting 300. And it's the 4th batter that's got over 30-some RBIs. He's got 41. So that's 4 hitters. So let's just say they average 40. That's 160 RBIs out of 4 batters.
The 1-0 to Andrew Check. Pushed foul to the left side. It's going to get well out of play.
The Red Bubble brought to you by Pets Construction. Choose the best. Never regret it.
Yeah, this is a Washington team that puts a lot of guys on and brings a lot of guys home.
Yep.
Luckily, last night for the Otters, they were able to make them strand a lot of guys. By
Yeah,
4.
you said how many?
15.
Wow.
A 1-1 to Check. Again sent foul to the left side. In fact, there were 2 separate innings that Washington left the bases loaded. 3 separate innings they left the bases with 2 guys on. So just a lot of crammed bases.
Well, there were several times bases were loaded. We got a double play to get out of it. So you're saying, in essence, what you're saying is almost every inning they had the bases loaded.
Just about. 1-2 misses on the outside edge. Some disagreement with the fans here at Bossy Field, but overall a good call.
Oh, yes, that was way outside.
Still scoreless here in the top of the first. Ryan O'Reilly's trying to keep it that way with a runner on third and 2 outs. The 2-2 coming home. Swinging strike 3, and the inning will end on a German-American Bank strikeout. We head to the bottom half of the first. Still scoreless from Bossy.
Small businesses.
To the bottom of the first we go. Let's send it right to the man on the mound for the Wild Things this evening, Kobe Foster, the lefty out of Winchester, Tennessee, and the graduate of Tennessee Wesleyan, looking to right the ship for the Washington Wild Things. Fifth start of the year. He's 2-1 with a 1.57 ERA in his 4 games thus far. He's pitched 23 innings in that time. It's Foster on the mound, Alvarez behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer, Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer, Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or give him a call at 812-475-9000. Here's the men he'll be facing this evening. Starts off with the Edward Jones leadoff hitter, Miles Gordon. J.R. Davis and Zach Biermann follow behind. Then it's Baez, Sinsley, and McNamee, a hard-hitting middle 3 before we see Khalil, Buckner, and Torrales. Worth noting, though, about 3 hours ago, when the lineup was officially released, it was Andy Armstrong in the 9-hole, but they are just making sure everything's okay with his hand from last night, so they're just going to be careful tonight and give Torrales the 9-hole.
That's right. I forgot about Andy with that injury about his hand.
It sounds like there might have been some soreness in it when he got to the ballpark today, so it's just a let's be careful and make sure everything's all right. 0-1 to Gordon, who's the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, and his count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yes, Andy Armstrong, one of the premier infielders in this league. Soft hands, good range.
1-1 to Gordon. That one hits him on the shoulder. He's going to get first for free. A little weary after that one. One of my favorite things in the last few weeks has been getting to listen to some of the away broadcasters while I'm there talk about Andy Armstrong and to hear the praise he's getting from different broadcasters and coaches around the league. He's really starting to get noticed for the talent he has.
Well,
rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, if he bunted more, got more base hits, and was up that 280, 290, 300, yeah, he'd probably be recognized as the premier infielder.
Well, he's certainly worked on the average. He's got it all the way up to 255. That's after he was sitting in the low 200s for a long time. Yeah. And, of course, you and I were just mentioning about how difficult it is to get your average up when you've played so many games. That's the issue for him right now.
One of my best all-time baseball friends, John Buddy Kerr, led the major leagues with the least amount of errors for as many chances as he had. He was one of the prime, if not the prime shortstop in all the majors. But Buddy was like a 240 hitter. And he was never recognized as a great shortstop because of the low batting average.
An 0-1 to J.R. Davis with a runner at first and no outs. Sent out towards center field. Running back is Brandon. He flips over to the other shoulder and brings it in for out number 1.
Yeah, we'd go into Baltimore, and Rex Barney, the PA announcer at Baltimore, would say, "Here comes Buddy Kerr. Good field, no hit." 13 years in the majors. Good field, no hit. However, when you're getting $3,000 a month pension, that's not bad.
Zach Biermann at the plate now, the 3-hole hitter for Evansville. He's got a runner on first and 1 out here in the bottom half of the first inning. Otters trying to get on the board quick.
Yeah.
Throw over to first, and Gordon back in time, of course.
Yeah, there were players in the majors making like 300 to 500. Don Manning was one of them. And they wanted to raise in there because it's the antitrust laws with the federal government.
There goes Gordon. They've got him in a rundown. The throw down to second is in time, and he's out. He tried to get a good jump, and he got a really good jump on the throw over, but unfortunately, the throw over got him on his way.
Well, anyway, the antitrust Congress wouldn't pass it unless they took care of the old timers. So Buddy Kerr was getting a pension of $300 a month, and Congress said, take care of the old timers. And he went from $300 a month to $3,000 a month. Can you imagine that?
An 0-1 is pushed down the left field line, well foul, and Biermann's going to fall back a couple in the count.
And of course, with that, major league players got an increase in their salary, and then they started making millions. But Don Manning was one of those first $500,000 ball players. 5-year contract, $500 a year.
It's crazy what you're seeing now.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, it is unreal. 1-2 to Biermann. Called strike 3, and the inning ends. Evansville can't make anything of a leadoff hit by pitch, and we've played through 1. Still scoreless from Evansville. Absolutely a great night for baseball here on a Saturday evening from Bosse Field. Let's take one more look through the Steel Corp Frontier League standings. Nice to see a friendly face there at the top of the West Division. Evansville and Washington tied at 34 and 21. Schaumburg, Gateway, Joliet in the immediate leading or trailing pack, with Lake Erie, Windy City, and Florence bringing up the rear. In the East, I tell you what, Quebec 5 games over Ottawa, who's 4 games over Sussex, but Sussex, New York, Tri-City, Trois-Rivières, and New Jersey are all decided by 3 games. Man, this is what baseball's all about. Close teams, fun baseball, and it looks like we're going to get it all season long in the Frontier League. Washington going to try to pursue their first run of the game now as they head to the middle of their order. Walters, Ming, and Brannon due up here in the second. First pitch home from O'Reilly. It's called strike.
Now, for our fans' sake, if the playoffs was tomorrow, and forgetting about tonight's game, but using the standings as is, Evansville would be in first place only because of having a win over Washington.
Correct.
Okay. Everybody understand that out there in baseball world?
0-2 is outside, and O'Reilly can't quite get the strikeout. Yeah, if it was tomorrow, we forgot about tonight's game, it would be Washington versus Schaumburg in a 1-game playoff to decide who was going to play Evansville in the 3-game division series.
Right. And let's hope that's the way it ends up.
I hope so. A 1-2 to Walters. A half swing and gets a tiny bit away. They're going to check, and they say, yes, he did. So the throw down to first is in plenty of time for a German American Bank strikeout, the 3rd of the game for Ryan O'Reilly.
You know what I like about that right now? Buckner, he scooped that up, hustled right after it. He didn't wait for the umpire. He just hustled.
And he was hustling after the ball, and as soon as he had it right there in front of him, he checked down.
Right.
So to make sure you're keeping the ball in front of you and using your check downs, got to be happy so far.
That's right. So you got an out instead of an error.
First pitch to Mang, hit sharply to the left side. Long dive for Khalil. He makes the catch, but there will not be any throw. I tell you what, he really extended for that ball, but there was just no play.
Well, no, I don't think he could have thrown him out. It was an outstanding play, but by the time he got to his feet, he braced himself and threw it. No way he's going to get him.
Probably didn't save an extra base in the grand scheme of things, but it's still just crazy to see him cover so much ground.
Yes, yes.
Cole Brannon, one of the quickest men around the bases in this league, at the plate now. He enters our game this evening with a .297 average. Dropped a couple of points from last night. First pitch to him is a called strike on the inside edge.
And I can see why he's so low in the lineup, only 18 RBIs. he don't belong to the 30-plus club.
Brandon is already prepared for the playoffs. Big old playoff beard on his face. We're going to toss over to first. That's a beautiful throw to first, but back in time was Jared Mang.
So is Cole one of the starting All-Stars?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to check for sure. I know he's in the All-Star. Okay. 0-1 to Brandon. Sent towards the left side. Tall jump for Torrelas, and it's just over the top of him and in left field for a base hit.
Now, there is a good case of what we keep preaching all the time about bring that third baseman in, and it limits his range. And our third baseman, there was no way he could get it unless he was 6'9", like Mr. Clark.
He was in a great place to make a play on that ball, but it was just unfortunate bouncing.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I had that wrong. Brandon, not an all-star. I just had it mixed up with a couple others.
Okay. You're entitled to the error.
I'll take the error on that one.
Okay.
There are 8 all-stars, though, from this Washington team.
Really?
By far the most in the league. First pitch to Nico Pacheco, sent towards Davis at second. So second for 1 to first in time, and a double play ends the inning. Stop us if you've heard it before. 4-6-3 on the double play. We've played 1.5. Still scoreless from Evansville. To the bottom half of the second inning we go. And the Otters are going to ask Jeffrey Baez, Steven Sinsley, and Elijah McNamee to be the ones to get the offense started. Otters got someone on there in that first inning, but he was caught on his way towards second. A great jump, but unfortunately he wasn't going towards home. He was going towards first, and he gets caught between.
Excuse me, let's go back to that inning and that double play. I heard Zane Godfather before the game mention if the Otters executed double play, they get some kind of a chance or something. There was something, if the Otters executed double play, the fans got something.
Yes, it's because it's sponsored by Hoosier Lottery, so a whole section gets a prize courtesy of Hoosier Lottery.
So now, did that apply last night, I wonder?
It did.
So that means those people got 4 tickets?
4 different sections.
Wow.
So tonight, Section K has been recognized, and every single time there is one, a new section wins.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Thank you, sir.
First pitch to Jeffrey Baez, bounces in, takes a really weird hop off the shoulder of Alvarez. It's just ball 1, though.
That's why Matthew is here, and I'm on the other side because he knows everything.
I'm going to try to take some time here in the next week to track down how many double plays the Otters have turned each of the last few years and see where this year's going to rank.
Oh, boy.
A half swing, dribbles in for ball 2. They do go check down at the first base umpire. Speaking of first base umpire, let's introduce you to the crew this evening. Ty Unthank behind the plate. On the left side of the infield, it's Mike Weinstein. On the right side, Mike Fisher. Pitch inside is a called strike. Baez has his arms way up, trying to say that was inside. The left fielder, Jeffrey Baez, will step back in, now looking at a 2-1 count. Pitch on the way home towards him. A lot of movement on that one. It stayed low for ball 3.
And that catcher is a scooper, too, if you notice. And every time, well, I shouldn't say every time, twice to Baez, he didn't do well on scooping.
Swinging strike 2 is going to take Jeffrey Baez to a full count. You and I note the speed of Jeffrey Baez. It's just kind of one of his hidden skills. I didn't realize he's already at 13 stolen bases this year. He's 13 to 17.
Oh, I believe that. You keep talking about 200 and some.
3-2 is chopped to the left side. Picked up by Walters on 2 hops, the throw to first, and plenty of time to retire Baez for out number 1.
You keep talking about he has over 200 stolen bases in his career.
Designated hitter, 21, Stephen Sinsley.
Okay, here comes Sinsley. He keeps raising those pant legs, doesn't he? I mean, before you know it, they'll be up around his waist.
First pitch to Stephen Sinsley.
Strike.
Falls in for a called strike on the outside edge. Looked like he was taking the whole way there.
Well, Sinsley has a habit of loading the gun, but he's hesitant on pulling the trigger.
The 0-1 just misses on the inside edge.
That's why I think he gets called out on third strike so much, because he's not sure of himself, so he doesn't swing. He goes through the motions, rotating the hips, but he doesn't swing with the arms.
The 1-1 to Sinsley is a called strike 2.
Well, he better start swinging now. There's no more tomorrow.
Sinsley with 1 out and nobody on, trying to kick off the second inning for the Otters. Heavy swing there on the 1-2 is fouled back into the netting, keeps himself alive.
You know, surprisingly, he's got 10 home runs. He's one of the leaders and he got 30 RBIs. And
swinging strike 3, and they are going to toss it down to first. And plenty of time for out number 2 here. It's good for the second strikeout of the day for Kobe Foster.
You know, before the game, I was doing some checking, and I find it real interesting with Sinsley striking out that the Otters have, where is it?
First pitch is a swinging strike 1 for Elijah McNamee.
In the last 10 times, the Otters have struck out 69 times compared to getting only 32 walks. So that's a lot of strikeouts.
0-1 the count to Elijah McNamee. Pitch on the way, and it's sent foul to the right side.
The Red Ball is brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best.
Pretty good crowd here on hand on a beautiful Saturday night at Bosse Field. It's Star Wars night presented by State Farm and 44 News. Our friends from the Arc of Evansville are here as well. The 0-2 push towards the middle, and it's through for a base hit. The first one of the game for the Otters. Then it belongs to Big Hit Matt.
And Big Hit Mac has been chasing that low outside pitch with 4 strikeouts last night. And here he reached for it again this time, only he made contact and got a base hit. So Big Mac keeps going after that low outside pitch.
Well, and he took advantage of the fact that it's a lefty with the ball coming in towards him.
Right.
So he could actually have a chance of making contact as opposed to last night when it was moving away from him.
Exactly. I tell you, that's why you're there and I'm here. You explain it better.
George Khalil at the plate now. His first pitch stays low for ball 1. George Khalil has been one of the sneakiest hitters for the Otters, I feel like, all year long, as he's found his way to 11 multi-hit games and 4 multi-RBI games. He seems to be the guy that kind of picks up the slack when other guys are having off nights. 1-0 home to the Australian. Outside, it's ball 2.
75 miles an hour. He didn't fool anyone. The wind is blowing to left field. So maybe if you get one up there in the atmosphere, Star Wars will carry it out.
Khalil had 2 RBI singles last night. A 2-0 headed home towards him. Stays inside for ball 3. Oh, I think did they call strike?
They
did.
They called that a strike. So we better change that scoreboard there to 1-1.
It was hard to see with Ty Unthank punching forward and almost punching into the catcher there,
Yes,
but
right.
that's why I couldn't tell exactly. But it is a 2-1 count for Khalil now. Runner at first and 2 outs. We're going to go check on McNamee, and he's back in time.
Now, McNamee's not a big threat to steal, is he?
Not necessarily. He gets a good jump, though, and he'll snag one for you. He's 7 of 10 on the season.
Well, getting a jump on the left-hander is kind of difficult if you don't sit and study him.
The 2-1 to George Khalil. Way inside. That one's certainly ball 3.
You know, if you notice a lefty, when the lefty's ready to throw his pitch, and he lifts his leg up, and he's looking at home, chances are he's going to first. If he's looking at first, chances are he's going to go home. Very deceiving.
The 3-1 stays high, and it's going to be
Don't
a
say.
walk. George Khalil really took his time making sure it was a walk before he took off.
Well, I was too, because when he paused, I'm going to say, don't tell me that's a strike. If it was, we better bring in the National Guard.
It's going to bring up the catcher, Devin Buckner, with 2 on and 2 out.
Buckner made a big explosion his first night with a single and a home run.
Yes, indeed. If you go back to the debut for Devin Buckner, his single came on his second at-bat. They all asked for the ball, and then in the bottom of the ninth, he hit a solo home run over the left field wall. First pitch to Devin Buckner here. Stays high and outside for ball 1.
This catcher looks like he wants to throw, so runners on the bases better be heads up. Don't lackadaisical go back to the bag.
Khalil at first, McNamee at second. There's 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. The 1-0 to Buckner. Stays high, ball 2. That's going to cause a quick conversation between Alvarez and his pitcher Foster.
Now you say this counts, right? Now where's the umpire going out there? And
I believe only if they ask the umpire to come out does he come out with.
oh,
They can say come out with us and we're going to just go through signs. So what doesn't count as one of their official visits, because I know they track it. I just don't know how many they get.
Okay, so
that one will actually count because he didn't say, hey, we're just going to go talk signs.
So you don't get an invitation, you can't go.
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess if you're the umpire, you can do whatever you want, but
You better bring a present.
yeah. Some sort of housewarming gift. So we'll try it all again. Now at a 2-0 count with 2 out and 2 on, the bottom of the second inning. 2-0 to Buckner. Lifted up towards right center field. Brandon running towards it. He thinks he's underneath it. Indeed he is. For out number 3, Otters strand 2 in the second inning. We're still scoreless, but the Otters are able to get their first hit in this one here from Bosse Field. We're ready for the top of the third inning here, and Ryan O'Reilly and the Otters return defensively out there. O'Reilly's picked up 3 strikeouts, has a double play from his defense behind him. Not a bad start.
So I'll say, let me get back to that last thing we were talking about. I have a great-granddaughter and invites me to her birthday party every year. And she'll say, Grandpa or Pop, it's my birthday, you're invited, but you got to bring a present. I mean, every time I'm invited, but you got to bring a present. That's some invite.
Well, we're going to see the 9-1-2 hitters of Washington, starting off with Alex Alvarez, their catcher. Alvarez on the season, batting at .204. It's really strange to look through the starting lineup for this Washington team. Alvarez sits at that .204 average, but to find the next lowest regular starter, you pretty much have to go all the way up to Hector Roa at .283. For the regular guys on this team, they have crazy high averages.
Yeah, I'll say with RBIs.
Yeah, with a lot of RBIs.
Yeah.
First pitch to Alvarez here. Swinging strike one on the outside edge.
God, that was so far out. He must have been swinging at the arm delivery.
So Alvarez is going to take an extra second to dig in this time. Ready on the 0-1 from the pitcher, Ryan O'Reilly. It bounces in past the glove of Buckner for ball 1. Defense is playing pretty much straight up all the way around. A little bit of a gap over there on the right side. The 1-1. Zoomed through that gap on the right side, through for a base hit.
Yep, that was a late swing that ended up being beneficial to him.
So with no outs, there's now a runner on first, and we head back to the top of the order where Nick Ward will come to the plate. The Frontier League's second hottest hitter. Enters the game batting .379. Started off the game with a strikeout looking on 3 pitches. A look over to first for O'Reilly. Long glance over there. And here comes the first pitch home. It's low and inside for ball 1.
Did you ever hit .379?
Certainly not.
I did once when I was making the John Street All-Stars. That was the street I grew up in. And so I made the All-Star team.
A 1-0 pitch to Nick Ward. There's a called strike on the inside edge, a very late call by Ty Unthing. Alvarez over there on first on the season. No stolen base attempts for him thus far. The 1-1 heads home to Nick Ward. It's sent high in the infield. Torrella's calling everybody off, and it's actually Khalil who calls him off further and brings it in for out number 1.
Welcome Isaiah Galley. He is at his very first Evansville Otters game. Isaiah,
he looks a little depressed going back to that dugout, doesn't he?
That's a lost opportunity for him.
Yeah. Second best hitter in the league, and he pops up.
Well, in last night's game, he started off with a double and a single, and tonight it's a strikeout and a pop-up.
Yeah.
Certainly not the way he wanted to kick off this game. Scotty Dubrowl at the plate now. He walked his first time up, but was stranded at third later in the inning. A check over at first. That's a really good throw and a really close play.
Yes, it was.
But Alvarez is back.
You know, talking about batting averages, this guy's batting .324, and Ward was up there. And, you know, one of the things about scouts, when you're going to scout a high school.
Pitched it on the ground to the right side, just a hair foul as Biermann brings it in.
You go to scout a high school team, and the player you went to see is batting .500, and you go over to get the lineup, and you ask the young lady for the lineup, and she says, oh, by the way, Joe Blow is my boyfriend. Oh. So every time Joe Blow hits the baseball, it's a base hit That's why he's batting 500.
Oh, 1 for Dubrowl. There's a runner on first and an 0-1 count. Pitch stays high and outside. Oh, that's a good pitch, but it must have missed somewhere for ball 1.
Well, it kind of hung up there a little too outside on the outside corner. If it was in about another inch or two, it might have been a strike.
You can throw that pitch consistently tonight, you're going to get some guys chasing.
Oh, yes.
A 1-1.
Same pitch.
Same place, but maybe a half-inch lower, and it's a called strike.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? 2 pitches more or less in the same area. One's a strike, one's a ball.
And as Buckner caught it, he kind of fell backwards a little bit, and he immediately is grabbing at the back of his right ankle and immediately asked both Andy and the trainer to come out. But right after that play, grabbed at the back of his ankle, almost in that Achilles area. Like when he fell back, he did something weird. He's up and walking. Always a bit concerning when the second something happens, a player kind of knows.
Well, I'll tell you, I got my share of injuries. And every time the trainer would come out, I'd say, I'll handle it, never mind, I'll handle it. Because you know your body more than the other. Even though they're a trained trainer, you know your body better than they.
The last thing the Otters need is another catcher getting injured.
Yeah.
1-2 is the count to Scotty Dubrowl.
By the way, does Philip says still dressed or is he in the stands? God bless you.
I know he's not dressed tonight. I'm not sure if he's with the team right now. I think he might be either right after surgery or probably getting ready for surgery if he hasn't already. A 1-2 coming home. Pushed out towards left field and well foul out of play.
Well, I wish Mr. Phelps luck. And I hope he gets the credit he deserves out there at the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see him get recognized regardless next week as an All-Star. Hopefully before this season is up, we're going to get to see more of Dakota Phillips.
Right.
A 1-2 for Scotty Dubrowl. Let's try it again. Pitch on the way, and again it's fouled back. Good work for Dubrowl at the plate.
And it all depends on how bad or how successful the surgery is and what the healing process is.
Absolutely.
Is it going to be 2 weeks, 2 months?
Well, you just don't want to rush anything.
Oh, no.
There's 1 out and 1 on, a 1-2 count to Scotty Dubrowl, who's doing a wonderful job of keeping himself competitive at the plate right now. The 1-2 stays inside for ball 2. That breaks a streak of 3 straight foul balls. Seems like every time I look out there, there's more people in the stands here at historic Bosse Field. Good to see a big crowd this evening. O'Reilly nods and is ready for a 2-2 to Scotty Dubrowl. The glance to first. And here comes the 2-2. Push to the left side, through for a base hit.
Inside-outside swing. And he ends up getting a base hit.
That is a well-earned base hit. Really had to stay defensive at the plate.
Wagner Lagrange.
So there's players at first and second now as Wagner Lagrange makes his way to the plate. 1 on, 2 on, 1 out. Lagrange has a on-base percentage north of 370 now. O'Reilly taking a few extra seconds to get himself set up on the mound. Looking for an out certainly here.
Big hit Max out there in right field, and he's shading his eyes for the sun. So we know it's there. Did you notice our catcher there, Buckner, just pushed the batter out of the way? That'd be assault and battery in a criminal case.
Yeah, center field and right field certainly bathed in sunlight right now. The 1-0 coming home.
Strike.
Called strike on the inside edge.
You know, it seems like these umpires are kind of slow in calling them, aren't they?
Ty Unthing, especially tonight, has just been very patient to call things strikes. And I think I remember it happening last weekend, too, while Florence was in town. Very late called. Ready to go on the 1-1 is O'Reilly. Pitch comes home and it bounces in. Good stop from Buckner.
Well, there's the difference between scooping up a ball that's way outside and getting up and using your agility to just cover, I'm going to say maybe 5 feet. And he blocked that with his body 5 feet from where home plate. So if he had scooped it, we'd have runners on second and third.
A 2-1 to Wagner-Lagrange. Push to the right side,
Base
through
hit.
for a base hit. They're going to hold the man at third and not test the arm of McNamee. There's now bases loaded with 1 out.
Now, this is the time that Max goes out, calls timeout, just goes out and says, what's going on here? I mean, here we got 2 outs, 1 out, and we're coasting, and all of a sudden, back-to-back hits. And then you say to Buckner, what's he missing? Is his fastball lost its zip? Is the curve not curving?
The first baseman, Andrew Check, at the plate now. O'Reilly ready for the first offering to him, and it's on the way. Must have stayed a bit high on the inside edge.
I think Mr. Chuck buffaloed the umpire by jumping away, indicating it was too close. I thought it was a good inside pitch.
So it's now a 1-0 count for Ryan O'Reilly. Fires home to Andrew Check. This one zoomed out to left center field. Long run for Gordon, down for a base hit. One run's going to score. 2 runs are going to score. They're pushing the third run, and now he'll stay at third. A 2-run double has given Washington a lead here in the third. That ball was well struck. Ended up being a long run for Miles Gordon. He opted to let it bounce in front of him, and then it bounced over his glove, which just about gave up the third run.
See, now we have the meeting of the catcher and the pitcher where it should have been a pitch too late. Anyway, let's hope that the damage has been already done and no further.
Ian Walters is going to make his way to the plate now. Walters out of Paducah, Kentucky, looking to keep the rally alive for the Wild Things. 1 out, runners on second and third. Washington leaves by 2. First pitch to him is just grazed foul behind home plate. Also important for the Otters to just keep in mind that baseball's a long game for a reason, and they can get themselves out of this inning right here. You still have got plenty of chances to start to work your way back into this one.
Well, just like last night.
Absolutely.
They were in trouble the first, second inning. They came and they overcame.
The 0-1 to Walters. Swinging strike 2. The off-speed got him. It's once the game gets to a 3 or 4 run deficit that it starts to get a little more scary about how are we going to put hits together and come back, especially against a good team like this one.
Yeah, 2 runs is not that bad to overcome right now, but 4 or 5 would be.
The 0-2 to Walters. Swinging strike 3. Ryan O'Reilly's got himself his 4th German American Bank strikeout.
That's a American Bank strikeouts.
2 on, 2 2 out. And Jared Mang heads to the plate. He's got a single back in the second inning, but he was stranded rounding third on the double play. Mang played for Lake Erie previously. Now settling in with this Washington team. Two outs, runners at second and third. Washington looking to extend their lead. Ryan O'Reilly's trying to keep things right where they at. First pitch to Mang. High inside, ball one. Fastball just plain missed. Defense is playing a bit deep around the infield. Just trying to make sure they get their final out. 1-0 on the way. Swinging strike one on a pitch that broke way out of the zone.
Way out of the zone. I'll never understand a batter who can swing at a pitch like that. They're not following the ball. That's the trouble.
Count evened up at 1-1. O'Reilly sends one home to Jared Mang. Called strike two on the low outside corner.
That was a little delayed. I mean, I thought that was a ball. All of a sudden, he punched it. And he's got to come back with the same play.
1-2 the count to Jared Mang. Long wait there on the bump for O'Reilly. The 1-2. Ooh, pitch is swung through, swung back into the netting on the foul ball, and Mang will live to see another pitch.
That was a high pitch inside. He got it off the handle, but he got enough to foul it off. And
that's one of the things I've been incredibly impressed by Washington these last two nights so far. They really work far into counts, foul a lot of pitches off, make you work hard. A 1-2 to Jared Mang. Low and outside. He won't chase this time. The count evens up at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. We're in the top of the third inning. Washington scored a pair of runs on an RBI double from Andrew Check. Other than that, we have had no scoring in the game. O'Reilly looking to close out this top of the third with a 2-2 pitch to Jared Mang. Big curveball, almost ended up over the top. What a grab from Buckner.
I don't know how he ever got that. That was way behind the batter. And he got up from a catcher's position. I don't know how he did it.
He was ready for the pitch to finish low and outside, so he had to really go diagonally.
Yeah.
That saved a run. So now it's a 3-2 count to the left fielder, Jared Mang. Opportunities on the way home. Sent sharply down the right field line, but well foul.
I was just going to say strike three, but then again, you keep calling it. They're very aggressive with the bat. They're making you work. If you want to strike me out, you better throw a lot of pitches. In the meantime, the pitcher is building up a lot of pitches in his repertoire.
A 3-2 to Mang. Sent off the handle of the bat. Again, foul.
How many would that be? That's at least 4 or 5 foul balls.
Just in this at-bat, yeah. And they've already got Ryan O'Reilly up at 55 pitches after this next pitch. They have worked him up very quickly.
And we're only in the third inning.
Yeah.
That's too much. He's not going to last more than 5-6.
The 3-2 to Jared Mang. Push towards Khalil at short. He'll play it off the ground. The throw over to first retires the man. And only 2 runs will score for Washington, but it is enough for them to take a lead. We've played 2.5. And it's Washington 2, Evansville Nothing so far. Into the bottom of the third we go. Evansville now trailing 2-0 after a 2-run double from Andrew Check has given this Washington team a lead. That's a dangerous team to play when they have a lead. Evansville might want to snag a run here in this inning to keep it a little close.
Well, you know, the game of baseball changes inning by inning, all depending upon the score. Where one time you'd steal, now you don't. Where one time you'd bunt, now you don't. Yep, the game changes depending.
It's Torrelas, Gordon, and Davis due up in the half inning. Torrelas starts off with a swinging strike one.
That was out of the strike zone, way low. He's been chasing that pitch the last couple of games he's played.
A swinging strike two on a pitch low. Has Torrelas back in the count by a pair.
Yeah, I mean, he's now committed to that low outside pitch. And he hasn't hit it yet.
The 0-2. Swinging strike three on the outside edge, and it's a 3-pitch strikeout for the third baseman, Torrelas. Back to the Edward Jones leadoff hitter, and the top of the order we go, where we've got the center fielder, Miles Gordon, who was hit by a pitch his first time up.
Torrelas has changed his hitting in the last couple of games, where he was so aggressive, making contact when he first came. Now he's chasing bad pitches. Ever since that era, I think that's affected him.
0-1 to Gordon. A check swing sends the ball to the right side. And I think part of it might be that he just hasn't had the consistency he had back then. Since that game with the air, he's only started now 2 games. So he hasn't been getting consistent at bats either, which is not helping any further.
Okay.
Pitch sent right back up the middle. Grabbed by the pitcher. The throw to first is barely in time for out number 2. So it's quickly 2 up, 2 down for the Otters in the third. That'll bring up the second baseman, J.R. Davis, who's 0 for 1 with a fly out to center his last time up.
I'll tell you right, so far, I know it's only the third inning, but we're not stinging the ball. You know, it'd be different if we were lining him out to left field, knocking third basemen down. But we're not making good contact at all tonight.
First pitch to Davis. Stays inside for ball 1. I know part of that has to do with the lefty. The Otters just aren't as good against lefties. That's just fact. And usually it does take them into that second time around the order for them to really start to see the ball. Davis swings and barely misses at a pitch. Looks like he got a little bit of a foul tip on it to even it up at 1-1.
Well, if we know he's going to be a left-hand pitcher and we don't hit left-handers too well, then load up our lineup with left-handers. So it's going to be a fair game.
I believe every lefty the Otters have available is in tonight. Gordon, Biermann, and Sinsley, all lefties. Davis looking at a 2-1 count. Bases empty, 2 outs. Otters need something to happen for him. Pitch stays low, and it's 3-1 now to Davis.
Well, we got a chance to get a man on, but don't get picked off. I think that hurt us. I thought that put the air out of our balloon.
Certainly took a lot of positive momentum from this Otters team. Pitch sent back towards the netting, keeps Davis alive at 3-2 now.
Just a further reminder, Bossy Gives is from the facility of the Bossy includes electronic cigarettes. Keep that in mind, there are designated smoking areas outside both gates of the ballpark.
A 3-2 count for J.R. Davis with 2 outs and nobody on, trying to keep the inning alive.
Pitching him low and inside.
The 3-2 zoomed towards
It's a
left
double.
field, down for a base hit.
That's a double.
Davis starting to round first, and he's going to put on the brakes about halfway there and stay put at first. That'll bring up the first baseman, Zach Biermann. I tell you what, if there is anyone on this team due, and I keep saying it because he's still due.
To tie the game up, you're talking about. Yes, I haven't seen a Biermann home run or a Biermann long fly ball in a week or so.
Yeah, in his last 10 games, Biermann's batting .212 with just 3 RBIs. Really needs a game to start that offense once again and get him back over 300.
That made him an all-star, so he's got to keep that reputation.
The throw over has Davis back in time. And I imagine they'll do that a couple more times before this at-bat is over. Well, this feels like a do not steal chance right here, just not worth it right now. First pitch to Biermann, a hefty swing, but he was ahead of it just a hair for strike 1.
Well, I'd say don't steal because don't take the bat out of Biermann's hands. You'd be surprised, a batter up there looking at the pitcher coming at the pitch coming in at you, and then out of the corner of your eye you see the guy running to second. You say, "Oh, what should I do? Should I protect him?" It puts the batter in the spot.
1-1 for Zach Biermann with a runner on first and 2 outs. Otters just looking for any sort of offense here to combat the 2 runs of Washington in the top half. Again, a throw over, and again, Davis is back in time.
Well, I would love to see a ball hit to the Corona patio. Look
Which
at
is
that.
packed tonight again.
That's a nice crowd out there. You're right.
1-1 to Zach Biermann. Pitch on the way from Kobe Foster. Pushed out to the left side. There goes Walters in foul territory, but he's not going to make it as the ball goes into the second row.
Good hustle by him, though.
The huge foul territory here. By the way, I realized I didn't make a good enough impact about it yesterday. If you're a Washington fan listening in, the foul territories here on first and third base side are huge.
Yes.
I mean, there is probably almost 90 feet to the deepest part you could go from the first base and third base lines. 1-2 is swung on and missed by Biermann, and the Otters miss out on this opportunity. We've played through 3. And Washington still leads 2-0 here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. Otters still trailing by a pair as we head to the middle 3 innings. Washington able to snag them on a RBI double from Andrew Check, and that's the difference maker. It does feel like we could very well just see those 2 runs tonight. With the way that these 2 teams have played a lot of games this year, you just never know.
Well, the way the Otters are swinging those bats tonight, 2 runs may stand up and be enough.
In the half inning, we're going to see Brandon, Pacheco, and Alvarez due up for Washington.
They've got 6 hits to our 2, and we're in the 4th inning. And you said earlier, O'Reilly's got like 60, close to 60 pitches, and we're only going into the 4th inning.
Yeah, the Otters are going to really need a couple, probably 2 solid innings from O'Reilly to keep the pitch count low in order to make sure that they don't have to ask a bullpen arm to go 3 or 4 innings tonight. Cole Brannon ready at the plate to lead off the half inning. First pitch to him, he shows bunt, pulls away at the last second for ball 1. Now they're saying he foul tipped it. It was hard to tell from our angle if he foul tipped it or not.
Well, as long as it's a strike. I mean, even if he didn't tip it, it should have been a strike because he jabbed at it.
Count falls to 0-1 for Brandon. O'Reilly steps back, kicks, and delivers. Sent sharply towards Davis at second. He plays to first in plenty of time. 4 out number 1. Still getting used to the different look for the Otters out there. I'm so used to Armstrong at second, I've almost said his name a couple times.
Yes, it is hard to understand. Hopefully he's back tomorrow.
Yeah, it's uplifting to see him down in the dugout with the Otters. No wrap on his hands, nothing special on his hand. It seems it is 100% a just in case.
But in uniform.
Yes, he's in uniform down there. So
that's what counts.
And he's on the lineup card, so he's available to play if needed.
Okay.
Nico Pacheco at the plate now. He starts off with a ball inside. It seems like it is purely a let's just be safe.
Precautionary measure.
Yeah, exactly. One 0 on the way home from O'Reilly. Swinging strike 1. He was way out in front of that. No movement in either bullpen, as to be expected here in the early few innings. The 1-1 to Pacheco. Swinging strike 2. Back-to-back pitches. He's had Pacheco way out in front of.
Yeah, a good breaking pitch too. Had a good bite to it.
Well, they've both looked like fastballs out of the hand, and then they've slowed way down and broke.
Well, that's why they're effective. If they start their break right before they approach the plate, that's why make sure you swing the bat and then the ball goes the opposite way.
So a 1-2 to Nico Pacheco. Swinging strike 3, it gets away from Buckner. A long run for him. There will be no throw. So he will reach on the drop third strike.
Pass ball or wild pitch? Wild pitch.
That'll bring up the catcher, Alex Alvarez, who got himself a single back in the 3rd. That's what led off the big inning for Washington. He got the single, and then the whole line followed behind him.
Yeah, base hit, and then checks double.
I'll glance over to first for O'Reilly. And the first pitch comes home to Alvarez, who cracks a bat, sends one towards Khalil to second for 1. Then to first in time. It's a 6-4-3 double play that ends the half inning. We've played 3.5. Otters still trail by a pair. Bottom of the fourth inning we go now. And Evansville looking to get themselves back into this one. They gave up 2 runs on Check's double back in the third. And right now, that's the only difference.
Yeah, and 6 hits in 2 versus the Otters. So the Otters got to get people on base, whether it's an error or a base hit, ball 4 or whatever.
Otters have had men on in the last 2 innings, but have left them all stranded. The strikeout seems to be the killer so far for the Otters. They've got 4 of them.
We've got, 4 strikeouts.
Baez, Sinsley, and McNamee due up for the Otters here in the half inning. Baez started his day with a ground out to the third baseman. Weakly hit ball over there. First pitch home, catches the zone on the inside edge for strike 1. Baez jumped away as if it was ball 1. But you can hear the 1 cowbell now from Secret Weapon down there. 0-1 goes home to Baez, a swinging strike 2 as he dropped to a knee. But here in a couple at-bats, you're going to hear the rest of the cowbells. There's a whole row full of fans down there right behind the Otters dugout. They were all in Mississippi State gear yesterday, supporting Elijah McNamee with their Mississippi State cowbells.
Oh, really?
So you'll hear them all when McNamee comes to the plate next time.
Oh, okay.
Foul ball from Baez to the left side. The count remains at 0-2.
Well, years ago, some of the players were dissatisfied with Bruce's cowbell, and they stuck it up here in the ceiling under the netting so that he couldn't get it. And, well, we didn't have the cowbell for a while. Bruce got a new one.
0-2 stays outside, and Baez is still ahead in the count.
Yeah,
still behind the count, 1-2.
Bruce has been here since I've been here, going back to 2004.
The 1-2 to Baez, the left fielder, bouncing towards the left side. Tough play for Ward, but he's able to throw out Baez over at first. 1 up, 1 down, and that brings up Steven Sinsley, who struck out his first time up. Sinsley always kind of looks like he's got the 50 caliber round ready to go. An explosive swing, and when he makes contact, it is a crushed ball. But the problem is he's had trouble making sure he's making contact off.
Well, he's been hesitant, and
First pitch to him, and it's a swinging strike 1 up high.
you're either going to swing at the pitch or you're not. You can't go halfway.
Defense playing straight up for Steven Sinsley. Maybe a tiny shift towards the right side, but not by much. The 0-1 stays up high, ball 1, and the count's even.
I think once you rotate those hips explode. There's no holding back that swing.
1-1 for Sinsley. Cranked out towards right center field, down for a base hit. Kind of died when it hit the grass, so he'll have to keep it with a single. That's going to bring up Big Hit Mac, the right fielder.
And that's what we needed was we needed someone to start this rally.
So Elijah McNamee making his way to the plate now. And here come those cowbells. Yeah, I saw the whole section down there last night with Mississippi State shirts on. I'm like, those guys have got to be here supporting Mac. And sure enough, they spent a whole lot of time post-game with him.
Oh, really? Oh.
Runner at first, 1 out. McNamee at the plate. First pitch to him. Big curveball that fell into the zone for called strike 1. 66 mile an hour. He's really pulled the string.
I'd tell you, that just thing floated in.
Yeah. An 0-1 for the right fielder, McNamee. Big swing on an inside pitch, and he's down 0-2.
Yeah, you're not going to get too much of a chance of getting a 66 mile an hour fastball and watch it go by for a strike and come back with an 86-mile-an-hour fastball that you miss because you were too late.
The 0-2 for Elijah McNamee. Thinks about going outside. Lets it go by for ball one.
Yeah, Mac, if that was a righty, Mac would have chased it. He's got to stay away from those low outside pitches. If they're not a strike, don't swing.
Interior defense playing at double play positioning. Outfield pretty standard out there.
Yeah, and Sinsley don't have a good lead at all. I mean, he's what, 3 feet, 4 feet at the most away from.
The 1-2 for McNamee, pushed out towards right, but it's sent way foul and out of play. Count remains at 1-2. McNamee just needs to stay defensive and find a pitch he can work with. Due up after him is going to be George Khalil. But first, a 1-2 to Elijah McNamee. They throw over, and they've got Sinsley.
He's out. He is out.
Sinsley out on his way back to first for out number 2. And now the Otters are down to their last strike in the half inning. Second time today, the Otters have had a man on. He gets caught.
You can't be jumping and leaving your feet when you're on first base with a left-hander. You can't leave your feet.
I was going to mention the reason Sinsley was playing so close is because he has been thrown out a couple of times. Does right here. A 1-2 is fouled off again by McNamee. Actually, it went off the catcher, and he's taking a moment.
I've never seen so many catchers get treated like babies. I mean, come on. A little getting hit by a ball is nothing. You know, I know I'm bragging when I tell you this, Matthew. I caught a fastball in my throat one time. Can you imagine? It was, skipped off the bat for a strike 3 and got me right in the solar plexus here. I brought my chin down and then picked the ball off out of my chest, my neck.
1-2 is cranked down the left field line, but well foul. It had home run distance, but was not straightened up.
Now, the point of my telling you this, no one said a word to me. I mean, here I am with a ball in my throat. No one says, are you okay?
Long wait before the 1-2 for McNamee. Pitch on the way. Zoom to the left side of the infield, past the glove of Ward.
Base hit.
Might have just barely hit the glove. McNamee's going to get himself on.
Base hit.
Actually not permitted inside the ballpark. Outside of Austin.
That'll bring up George
Base
Khalil,
hit.
the Australian shortstop, after McNamee's base hit. And unfortunately, now you have to ask the question, man, what if Sinsley doesn't get caught off? There'd be 2 on, 1 out. But it's one of those things you have to move on and find ways to adapt.
Well, would Sinsley be on third base, too? We don't know that, depending on where the ball went in left field. I mean, the left fielder had to come in a long way to get that.
It's a called strike for Khalil to start off his count. By the way, with McNamee's base hit, he's already got himself a multi-hit game.
Right.
He leads the team with 15 of those multi-hit games. 0-1 to Khalil, swinging strike 2. It looked like that ball just rose in on him without him knowing. He didn't intend on it to.
One of the hardest things to do is hit a fastball that's up letter high or shoulder high. You've got to be quick reflexes.
The 0-2. Khalil puts one on the ground to the left side. Great snag by Walters. The throw is in time. What a play by the third baseman from Washington. We've played through 4. Evansville still finds themselves down by a pair as we head to the 5th inning. We head to the top of the 5th inning here. The Otters looking to keep this game right where it's at. A 2-0 advantage in favor, at least right now, of these Washington Wild Things. They head back to the top of the order where Ward, Dubrowl, and Lagrange come up. Those are three really solid hitters. First pitch home to Ward. He fouls it back into the netting for strike one.
Yeah, 2 hits last night, no hits tonight.
Well, and he's one of the guys I feel like if you can silence his offense a little bit, a lot of this team feeds from that leadoff hit.
I'll agree with you.
An 0-1 bounces in. I think the biggest out of the game thus far was in that inning that Washington did score. They had 4 of their first 5 guys get hits. The only one who didn't was Ward, who popped out. I think that might have been right now, game-saving out that kept this game from really blowing up.
Yeah, because the runner was in scoring position when he popped up. He was on second base, I think, the runner.
A 1-1 to Nick Ward to lead off this 5th inning. It's cranked out towards center field. Gordon's going to chase in maybe 3 or 4 steps and wait for it there for out number 1. Good out to start the 5th, and that'll bring up Scotty Dubrowl, who's 1 for 1 with a single and a walk thus far.
Number 4, second baseman, Scotty Dubrowl.
You know, 37 RBIs for this guy, and you look at that body build. I mean, he's not a giant. He's looks like maybe a freshman or a sophomore in high school.
First pitch stays a bit outside for ball 1 on Dubrowl. A little bit of a wait here before the 1-0 comes home. That one's a called strike. Jabril thought about going around. And he gets a called strike on him. A 1-1 headed home now. Swinging strike 2 for Dubrowl. Want to walk through the Fox Sports WIFX Frontier League scoreboard here as we go through this inning. Quebec makes the win streak 11 with a 5-3 win at Ottawa. Trois-Rivières about to finish off a 13-3 win against Empire State. Ball stays low for ball 2. The count evens up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. In the 9th inning, Tri-City down to their last couple of outs, down 8-1 at New Jersey. Another quality win for the Jackals if they can finish it off. And then in New York, the Boulders currently lead Sussex County 6-3 in the 7th. A 2-2 to Dubrowl. Outside, and his count is full. And we'll take the opportunity to keep on rolling through the top of the 7th. The Florence Yalls hosting Joliet. They lead 3-2. And in the bottom of the 6th at Windy City, Lake Erie is leading 3-2 there as well. Final game of the night other than ours, Schaumburg and Gateway tied at 2 runs apiece in the 4th inning. 3-2 to Dubrowl. Outside ball 4. A 1-2 count turns into a 4-2 count. Dubrowl's going to get himself a 1-out walk.
And here we are in the 5th inning. And how many pitches are we at now?
71. Every single inning for Washington thus far, they've started off with an out and backed it up with that guy getting on base the very next opportunity. Wow. Otters really need a couple innings where they shut them down 1, 2, 3.
And when they come to bat, get a hit 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. First pitch to Wagner Lagrange. Outside ball 1. Wagner's 1 for 2 in the day, a single in the 3rd, and out in the 1st on you couldn't mark it down as a sacrifice bunt, but it kind of worked like one, a hit over the top of the baseball, and it just chopped right back up to ended up being the catcher that made the throw down to first and moved the runner, but didn't end up doing anything. 1-0, they check over there. The throw takes Biermann off the base a little bit, but he's able to keep it in his glove.
Well, it's lucky it wasn't a wild throw. Did you notice how O'Reilly ended up? He was off balance, so he shouldn't have thrown it.
Kind of looked like he decided to throw that one a weird time.
Yes.
1-0 count for Lagrange. Called strike at the elbows. I was hoping that was going to get called strike because that was a really close pitch. But we've seen those called balls today as well.
Well, I'll say one thing. This guy isn't squeezing that plate.
Kind of a tale of two innings. There's been a couple innings that's felt really squeezed. Throw down to first again. Back in time is Dubrowl. Like I mentioned earlier in the game, 15 for 20. Dubrowl is in stolen base attempts, and the Otters know that. A 1-1 headed home. Sent towards right field, shallow right field. Biermann drops back, and he makes the tough catch right on the lip there. That's a much tougher play than it looks. It's officially a pop out to the first baseman. Now with 2 outs and 1 on, the hard-hitting first baseman Andrew Check heads to the plate. Right now, his swing of the bat is the difference. A 2-run double in the third. And that's the score.
Yep, his bat is the difference. You're right. Drove in those 2 runs, and that was it. And we were lucky. He ended up on second with a runner on third.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Could have been more runs.
First pitch home to Check. A half swing, and it's a called strike. Otters and Wild Things conclude not only the 3-game set tomorrow, but also they conclude each of their pre-All-Star game schedules. Keep an eye on the weather tomorrow, though. It does look like we could have some thunderstorms in the area a lot of the day. An 0-1 to Check. Ooh, hefty swing, and he just barely got a piece of the ball for a foul ball strike 2.
So there's a possibility there could be no game tomorrow.
Hard to tell. It looks like it's a 80 to 90% chance a lot of the day. So I guess we'll kind of have to play things by ear. I have a feeling that we're going to be throwing the tarp on the field after the game tonight, as it looks like a big thing could come through by 2 a.m. Just to stay kind of conservative, keeping an eye on things. 0-2 for Check with a runner on first and 2 outs. On the way home from O'Reilly, runners going. It's high inside. The throw out is not in time. Ooh, but it was just about a sneaky little tag for Khalil, who made the catch on the run and got the glove backwards. But it is a stolen base for Dubrowl. If we get to play tomorrow, which we hope we do, it's a Astound Dog Days of Summer. Bring the dog out to the ballpark. There's discounted hot dogs as well. We're going to see a matchup of Darren Osby on the mound for the Wild Things, Austin Gossman for the Otters, the newly named West Division All-Star. A 1-2 coming home. It stays low, gets away from Buckner for a second, but not far enough that Dubrowl could go anywhere.
As a USI grad, and Grossman's a USI grad, how many of our All-Stars are USI people?
Just Gossman.
Just Gossman.
But Jacob Bowles was a nominee, and he's another former USI man.
Yeah. But he was a nominee, but not a selected.
Nominee, yeah.
Not a selected.
Yeah. Deuces are wild here. 2-2 the count to Andrew Check. Stays inside for ball 3. Boy, would O'Reilly be upset with a 0-2 count that turns into a walk. Really needs to get this one.
If O'Reilly had watched, George was behind that bat, that runner on second. That was a good pickoff. The second baseman was doing his stance, so catch him in the air. They can't get back.
3-2 to Check. Big pitch in this game. Bounces in ball 4, and there's runners at first and second.
And that was pitch 70, 80. I would say warm somebody up. I'd say this is his last.
Third baseman, number 18, Ian Walters.
Ian Walters making his way to the plate now. There's going to be a quick discussion up there between the catcher Devin Buckner and O'Reilly, and he calls J.R. Davis in as well from second base. Just to work things out, make sure everything's all right to go. Long wait up there as they kind of work out things. They just need the one out here. Force at any base. Need to find a way to keep Washington off the scoreboard right now.
Yeah, we got to keep the score the way it is, and then score ourselves. But 39 RBIs, 8 home runs, 288 average. That's not a bad batterer coming there at the plate. I'd say I'll take 10 of them.
So stepping in is Ian Walters, who on the day is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. In fact, the last strikeout thrown, actually, let me rephrase that. The last 2 strikeouts thrown by O'Reilly have both been Walters. First pitch in, stays low and inside for ball 1. Little bit of a breeze coming in from right center field, it appears. As a 1-0 count, heads home for Ian Walters on a runner on second and a runner on first. Called strike on the high outside corner. Late decision by Ty Unthing. Adds a bit of suspicion, I guess, when you've got the late calls there behind the plate. Very Hollywood.
Yeah.
2 on, 2 out, a 1-1 count to Walters. Stays well inside for ball 2.
If anything, O'Reilly's been, I'm not going to say wild. Most of O'Reilly's pitches have been to lefties, low and inside. And that's where he gets himself in trouble.
It's that inside-outside swing that's got a lot of base hits on it.
Right, exactly. That's true, too. Yes.
The 2-1. Sent out to the left side, but well foul behind home plate. The count evens up at 2-2. This is one of these must-get-outs for Ryan O'Reilly. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 count. Evansville trying to keep the Washington lead at 2. O'Reilly nods his head towards his catcher, Buckner. The glance to second. And here comes the 2-2 pitch on the way home. High and outside, and it's fouled back into the netting. The count remains.
If I was George, I don't know what kind of signs they get, but I'd give him the sign to pick that guy off second base. I think you've got him dead. Once O'Reilly gets on the inside shoulder of that runner, pick him off. See, he's edging over. Not yet.
A 2-2 once again towards Ian Walters. And O'Reilly's going to step off, keep the runner close. It's got to be Khalil if they're going to play him close, because Davis is playing shallow right field, basically. The 2-2 to Ian Walters. Bounces in, gets away from Buckner. Both runners are going to advance.
No problem, no problem. It's ball 4. No problem. Or is it ball 3?
Ball 3 sends the count to full.
Okay. There's that. It seems like O'Reilly's been holding that curveball a little too long. I mean, Buckner's been doing a pretty good job back there blocking those pitches.
Counts is full with 2 outs and 2 on. A huge out to get for Ryan O'Reilly. It was a wild pitch that moved both runners. Here we go. Payoff pitch. Misses high, and it's ball 4.
Max, go out and talk to him. Max, do your duty.
That'll bring up Jared Ming, who's 1 for 2. A single and a fielder's choice, and there will be a discussion up there as the pitching coach, Max Peterson, makes the way out. Looks like the infield will come in as well. I say that, and then they all walk other directions and not towards the mound. It'll just be O'Reilly, Buckner, and Peterson there at the plate.
I mean, what are you going to say? It looks like your curveball, you're hanging on it too long. You're bouncing them in the dirt. Forget about it. Concentrate, just throw fastballs. We can't afford to walk anybody.
I can tell you just by looking on our
Ladies and gentlemen, your
Flow Sports stream that there was not one word said by Buckner or O'Reilly. Whatever Peterson came up, he said it and he got out of there. I did see Brody Tanksley make his way down to the Otters bullpen.
You mean to say we don't have a catcher in the bullpen? They're in the dugout?
We had one down there, but Tanksley just
They
made the jog
belong
down
in the dugout. I mean, in the bullpen. They don't belong in the dugout.
They had one down there and they swapped him. I think Felix was down there. Now they sent Tanksley out instead.
Well, somebody's got to be there. Come on, that's heads up.
Called strike to Mang.
Right.
It seems a lot of the time before the Otters have anyone warming up, they have Tanksley available in the dugout, so whenever they make a decision, we want to get a guy throwing. He's the one who relays the message down there as he runs down.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think I've kind of picked up on in the recent weeks with this team.
We don't have those radios.
0-1 stays low and outside for Mang, and the count evens up.
Or telephones that, you just call down there and.
I know we don't have telephones. We might have radios of some kind.
Well, we used to. Years ago, we had radios. And we would call down to the bullpen, get so-and-so ready.
1-1 count for Jared Mang. 2 outs, bases loaded. It's sent foul behind home plate, and it's a 1-2 count. Big pitch for Ryan O'Reilly.
But those are different administrations. Different managers operate differently. But
this is where Ryan O'Reilly has to slam the door. You've given a couple of bases up. There's no place to put anyone now. You've got plenty of balls to give now on a 1-2 count. Finish the count off. A 1-2. Lifted high towards center field. Gordon will take a few steps to his right. Plants underneath, and that's out number 3. Bases load up for Washington, but they can't bring anyone home. We've played through 4.5. We're at the center point of the game here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Well, we just passed the center point of the game. Evansville trails by 2 in this game, but all things considered, got to be happy with what we've seen from the Otters. They've been able to put a couple of Washington opportunities to bed, a lot like they did last night. But the big difference between last night and tonight is that the Otters are not getting anything done offensively. Got to find that soon.
Well, too many strikeouts. We're not getting men on base. No hit. Well, we got 3 hits. And we got more strikeouts than we got hits.
Yeah, we've got ourselves 4 base hits and 4 strikeouts thus far. Evansville needs to find a way to right that ship and get some men on base. Devin Buckner is going to try to be the one who does it. Buckner, Torrellas, and Gordon due up in the half inning. Buckner's first time up was a fly out to center, a hard hit ball, but it just didn't have enough to it. First pitch here's a called strike on the outside edge. A little bit of a weight up there on the bump as he shakes off a couple. Now Kobe Foster fires him on the 0-1.
Strike.
They check down at first. They say, no, he did not go around, so it's ball 1 for Devin Buckner.
I thought that ball hit the bat. It tipped the bat. Sounded like something.
A 1-1 is swung on and missed. Low outside corner for Buckner.
And that was a lazy swing.
Defense is playing pretty much straight up for Devin Buckner, this evening's catcher for the Otters. Trying to kickstart this fifth inning for Evansville. The 1-2. Sent right past the pitcher. A tough play for Ward. He'll play it on 2 hops over to first to retire Buckner. Didn't quite have enough to go through for a base hit.
Yeah, just one of those little dribblers, but right up the middle. Gave the shortstop plenty. Plus, he's a pretty good shortstop, too.
Probably would have helped the Otters if, Foster was able to get a little bit of glove on it, knock it down. But unfortunately, it's 1 up, 1 down, and Anthony Torrellis will have to try to be the one who answers the call. It's been very good work on the bump from Kobe Foster tonight. I think he knows that the Otters struggle with lefties, and he's really lived up to that. First pitch strike yet again for him.
Well, he's certainly been working at outside corner on righties, and he's been very effective.
Yes, indeed. 0-1 to Torrellis. Scott over the head of Ward. He tries to leap up and make a catch. Can't quite do it here. And it is a 1-out single for the third baseman, Torrellis.
Well, it's good to see Anthony get a base hit. And that's what we needed, men on. I know you always preach base hit, base hit, base hit. We got to bunch them together in order to score.
Nick Ward stands 5'10" there at shortstop. That's the disadvantage of having a slightly undersized shortstop. Evansville has 6'4" George Khalil, who can sometimes help him out with a play like that. The Otters are going to be happy they're able to snag a base hit. Gordon at the plate now shows bunt on his first opportunity. He's also the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game. Gordon's 0 for 1. He grounded into a fielder's choice right back up the middle. Was also hit by a pitch. The 1-0, and they're going to go check on Torrellis. He's back in time.
Now, I don't know what that throw was because Anthony, what did he have, a 3-foot lead? He wasn't about to steal. He was no threat at all.
1-0 to Gordon. Stays a bit low, and the count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike. Still nobody warming up for either squad. We've had a couple of guys hop up and stretch like we do now in the Washington pen, but no one actually throwing or tossing yet. A 2-0 for Miles Gordon with a runner on first and 1 out. Stays outside yet again, and he's way ahead in the count.
All 3. Do not swing on a 3-0 count.
Torrellis gives himself a little lead at first. With 1 out and a 3-0 count to Gordon. Called strike.
I don't know if that was a strike or was that a courtesy call.
That one looked good.
You think so?
I thought so. And I think Gordon was also taking the whole way. Had no intentions of swinging.
Well, I hope he was because we don't need wild swings on a 3-0 count.
The 3-1. Big swing, and he foul tips it into the glove of Alvarez, and his count's now full.
I didn't want to say, but it looked like he was about 2 miles behind on that swing. And that was only 83 miles an hour. I'm saying he wasn't ready. 2 strikes. You got to be ready, buddy.
A 3-2 for Miles Gordon. This ball is skied towards foul territory on the right side. Checks underneath it, and he'll bring it in for out number 2. Not at all the out the Otters wanted to have there, as it keeps Torrellis at first. J.R. Davis makes his way to the plate now.
And here comes the pitching coach, whatever. I'm surprised the umpires with Miles Gordon with that chain he's got around his neck. That's outside his uniform. And I'm surprised the umpires didn't make him put it under his jersey.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think they've got a pretty long leash with that. Because it seems like I've seen a lot of guys on every team we've played. There's been some long chains that are outside jerseys, and it just doesn't seem like umpires have really cared this year.
Well, that's part of baseball. It shouldn't allow it. Chains belong. I don't care. I always wore a chain myself. But the thing is, it belongs inside your jersey.
Still meeting there on the bump is Foster, and joining the talk is Ty Unthank, and immediately talks conclude. J.R. Davis at the plate with 2 outs, 1 runner on. We're at the halfway point in the game. Don't want to say the Otters are running out of offensive opportunities, but if they were to give up more runs, it would start to be a little more difficult.
Well, it's even with hits, 6 and 6. The only thing is they bunched theirs together.
First pitch to J.R. Davis, and they're going to throw over to first.
Checks double, and it would be a nothing ball game right now.
Trying again. J.R. Davis ready at the plate. It's coming towards him. A half swing, and it gets away for ball 1.
You know, all we need is the ball to go over that fence, and we'll tie this game up.
See, that's the thing. Evansville's a power-hitting team. They can change a game with one swing of the bat. They haven't done it a ton recently, but you just never know.
Yeah, there a couple of weeks ago, it seems like every batter was hitting one out of the ballpark. And
1-0 to Davis, sent foul back into the netting. The count evens up.
some players even had 2 home runs. And now, seems like the river has gone dry.
Yeah, Evansville didn't just have a lead in home runs. They had a massive lead in home runs, and now they've fallen back into the second place team in the league. Of course, that was helped out by the New York Boulders hitting 9 in one game last week.
Yeah, but I mean, we haven't even come close.
No, that's a huge part of Evansville's offense that's just gone now.
Well, Phillips being out of the lineup, there's a big, at least potential.
Biermann only has 1 in his last, I believe, 15 games. Sinsley had 1 last week, but other than that, Otters haven't found very many. 1-1 stays inside for ball 2. Davis takes the lead in the count.
Yeah, Perez has not been that good with the home runs as he expected. If you notice, he's grounding out a lot to short.
2-1 is skied high in foul territory. Going over his check, he thinks he's underneath it, and indeed he is for out number 3. Back-to-back foul outs to the first baseman check have ended this 5th inning. We've played through 5. 2 runs separate us in favor of Washington. We go to the top of the 6th inning. Otters still trailing in this one. Ryan O'Reilly is going to take back to the mound. And, you know, the thing we have not seen from O'Reilly yet today is a convincing inning, one that he really shuts down the bats quickly in. In fact, we've seen 7 batters stranded so far tonight for Washington. That's a little piece of the game that you've got to get ready to go for the future.
Let's put it this way. The Otter bats have been shut down tonight.
Yeah, it has been a wonderful pitching performance from Kobe Foster, the lefty up there for Washington. Brandon, Pacheco, and Alvarez are going to be the 3 for Washington here in the half inning. They're just looking for insurance at this point. And as this league has proved oh so many times, you can never have enough of that. First pitch to Brandon. Called strike on the outside edge. Late call there. As we go through this inning, we're going to go through the Fox Sports WIFX Frontier League scoreboard once more. Trois-Rivières did finish up a 13-3 win against Empire State, and New Jersey did finish up their 8-1 win against Tri-City. 0-1 to Brandon. Big swinging strike 2 on the low inside corner, and he's back in the count. New York is still hanging on to a 6-3 lead, hosting Sussex County. They're in the bottom of the 8th right now. Florence and Joliet tied at 3 runs apiece in the bottom of the 8th there as well. Looks like a good finish coming from Northern Kentucky. An 0-2 to Brandon.
Strike 3.
Called strike 3. Big strikeout to grab for Ryan O'Reilly. It's his 5th of the day. In the top of the 8th inning, the Lake Erie Crushers are holding on to a 3-2 lead at Windy City. Windy City going to have to find some offense in the last 2. And in the final game happening other than ours tonight, Schaumburg now a 3-2 lead at Gateway. Schaumburg could win the series with a win tonight. First pitch to Pacheco. Outside for ball 1. Pacheco did not play in last night's game. This is just his 2nd game with the Wild Things. So he's carrying a .500 average. Sharply hit to Davis at second. He'll play it off the ground and over to first for out number 2. And for the first time tonight, the Otters have put down the first 2 batters in order.
That's a big thing.
Yes, indeed it is.
You said you always get the first out, but then the second batter gets on all the time.
Every other inning so far today.
Yeah. Well, the Otters got to start that explosion pretty soon. They do score in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, but
first pitch to Alvarez. Outside ball 1. Otters are really center loaded this year. The most runs they have in any inning is coming in, at least right now, in their 5th inning, where they're scoring 66 of their 312 runs in that 5th inning. Called strike evens the count up. The 1-1. Called strike 2. Late call there. In fact, crazy enough, in the last 3 innings of ball games, the Otters are being outscored by a combined 14 runs in those last 3 innings.
really?
If the Otters are going to get you, they're going to get you in the early and middle parts of the game. A 1-2 to Alvarez.
Strike 3.
Not a called strike 3. The Otters will have to return to the defensive positioning, so the count goes to 2-2.
I don't know what was wrong with that pitch. The shortstop, George, the pitcher, the catcher all started walking off, as well as I called it.
The 2-2. That one's a called strike 3. Stayed a little bit low. It didn't matter. Alvarez is upset at the plate. We head to the bottom half of the 6th. Otters still trail by 2.
lost here as well.
Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Old National Bank. Your bank for Evansville, your bank for life. Well, this is kind of one of those no time like the present opportunities. Biermann, Baez, and Sinsley do up. Three guys that can change the landscape of a game with one swing. Right now, we just need to find a little consistency. Grab a couple base hits, and you don't know what can happen.
We need one man on base before we can hit a home run. And again, we're getting the one man on, but that's it. We're stranding him.
First pitch to Biermann on the way. Cranks it out to right center field, going towards that patio deck. There goes the center fielder. I believe he brought it in near the wall. Yes, he did.
He did catch it.
Long run for Brandon, and he brings it in for out number one.
That was right at the foot of the fence. I never saw it. You got good eyes.
No, it looked like it. I couldn't really see it either until I turned around and saw him pull it out of his glove.
Oh, okay.
It was way out there.
But Biermann did hit that. That's been the best hit by the Otters all night. It might have been a fly ball out, but it's the best hit all night.
It was directly into the wind, which certainly didn't help much. Brings up Baez, who starts off with a called strike one.
You know, they're going to pitch him off speed the rest of the year.
A little bit of a wait before the 0-1 comes home to Baez. And it is on the way now. Baez sends one down into left field, down for a base hit.
Okay.
That's what the Otters needed. Get some contact out there and get a runner on.
Well, that's the second good contact that we had. Again, that one was a hit. Biermann's was caught, but at least solid contact.
Well, in a couple hours to our west in Sauget, that's a home run for Biermann.
Oh, yes.
There at Gateway, but
yes.
At this ballpark, you have to do just a little bit more. Plus, he's hitting into the wind tonight.
Well, you know, some of our fans could have helped. I reached down there and caught it and had interference. So it would have been, what, a double automatically?
Well, there's one guy on this Otters team. I have never personally seen baseballs launched as far as I've seen Sinsley launch some in batting practice. I mean, I have never seen baseballs fly that far in my life. He just needs to find it a couple more times in a game. He's looking at an 0-1 count.
How far? Where was this at the visiting ballpark?
The last time I remember it, I think we took BP last, probably at Gateway. But I tell you what, he's just fun to watch when he gets really good contact.
Oh, okay.
He's got an upward swing, and when he does it the right way, it's hard to find baseballs afterwards. Yeah. They go check over on the runner at first. This is a scenario that I've got my stop sign up for Jeffrey Baez. No reason to try to steal a base here.
Oh, no way.
You need the base runners more than you need the extra base. Yeah.
Even if you got the second, what good is it?
0-1 to Steven Sinsley. Gets a bit underneath it for foul ball strike two.
He was going for the home run then.
Otters trailing by 2 in this one. Really, one swing of the bat is the only difference in this game. That 2-run double from Czech back in the third. Other than that, it has been a very close contest. Stepping off is Foster. I think I remember saying to you right after that 2-run double, that might be the only run we see tonight.
That's right.
And it certainly feels that way with the way these two teams have played.
Well, as of now, it is. I mean, this has been a good, constructive baseball game.
The 0-2, Sinsley able to foul another one back into the netting, keep himself alive. On the day, Steven Sinsley is 1 for 2, a single and a strikeout to his name.
Well, I thought he was going to get a double the last time he hit that ball, but it kind of died, if I'm not mistaken, out in the outfield.
The 0-2 headed home to Steven Sinsley. But before it happens, we're going to see Foster step off out there on the mound.
What was that? I mean,
Foster shaking off a ton of pitches. Finally nods home. The 0-2 to Sinsley. Outside, ball one. Good take there from Sinsley at the plate. Double play positioning for the Wild Things. They've got a man warming up out there in the left field pen. Evansville does not, for what it's worth. 1-2 the count for Sinsley. Big pitch here. A half swing, and it stayed outside for ball two. That's a close pitch, but Sinsley's able to lay off it. Thank you to our wonderful Odeon camera crew getting us a look down there. Christian James, the man warming up for Washington. Shout out to Austin, our producer this weekend. A 2-2 coming home for Steven Sinsley. Sent out towards left. It's shallow. It's actually going to be Ward who gets underneath it and brings it in for out number two. Yet again, the Otters get a man on with 1 out and then have an unproductive second out.
Yeah. Elijah, I remember going back about 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about Big Hit Mac, that he hadn't had a home run in God knows when. And all of a sudden he had loaded, gave us a home run over the left field wall. So now would be a great time for him to get his act together and hit one over that Budweiser sign.
Well, and I imagine the last time you heard this many Mississippi State cowbells like that was probably the game he hit the 3-run home run in that super regional. We could use kind of one of those big home runs that changes the game. First pitch to McNamee. Right back up the middle, down for a base hit. That'll do two. Baez was starting to round towards third, and he's just going to kind of test things out there in center field.
No. There was no way he would have made third base.
That one looked like a rounding just to put the pressure on Brandon to keep his eyes up, and maybe he was hoping for Brandon to overrun the ball or something. And that looks like that could be the day for Kobe Foster. Haven't seen an official nod down there yet. Well, they call him Big Hit Mac for a reason. That's a big one for him. I mean, it just came at the right time. It extended the inning, puts a man in scoring position, and a shifty hitter, George Khalil, at the plate.
Well, we could take a walk, load the bases. That'd give us runners on second and third. They're going to leave him in.
No pitching change yet, as the manager, Tom Faith, makes his way back towards the dugout. It kind of looked like as he was going out there, I think I saw Kobe Foster step off the mound and say, like, no, I got this. Let me have this. I've got it. I think he was trying to say it before a motion was made down to the pen. If he indeed haven't had any pull on what happened, I guess we'll see if it was worth it. George Khalil at the plate now. 2 outs, 2 on. Big time opportunity for the Australian. Khalil had 2 hits and 2 RBIs in last night's game. First pitch to him here. On the way from Foster. Stays low, ball 1.
We'll take a walk.
Again, it's Christian James warming up for Washington in case he's needed out there in the left field pen. 1-0 the count for Khalil. The opportunity is headed his way now. Push to the right side, but foul. Ends up on top of the Bossy Field seating area here. The count evens up at 1-1.
Crocodile George, we need a hit.
We had a great shout out from the crowd just now. I heard someone say, we'll take just one, George. Yes, we will. One'll do for right now. And time's called by the catcher Alvarez. Big opportunity for the Otters to, if not tie the game, at least bring themselves within one. Make this one a little easier.
Baez's got to be careful out there at second.
A 1-1 count with 2 on and 2 outs for George Khalil. Here comes the 1-1 to Khalil, and instead, Foster's going to step off. So all that excitement just to reset. A 1-1 for George Khalil. Pitch is coming home this time. It's up high for ball 2. But Alvarez wanted to throw, and now he nods down to his second baseman, saying,
yeah, I mean, if I was back there, I would have thrown it. I mean, that'd be throwing Baez out at second because he's lazily going back. That'd be a big out for the Washington Wildfins. And that would kind of smother the Otters' offense.
Foster asked to re-go through the signs. And he steps off. This is, at least right now, the biggest at-bat this game has seen. 2 outs, 2 on, 2-1 count to George Khalil. Something in the outfield likely scores 1 run. A 2-1 to George Khalil. Called strike at the elbows.
Way delayed. I thought that was a bad call, but he's entitled.
Big 2-2 count for George Khalil. 2 out, 2 on. Otters trail by 2. Khalil lifts a ball out towards right field, chasing in his LeGround into shallow right, and he'll bring it in for out number 3. Otters strand 2 once again in this game, and we head to the 7th. Evansville still trailing by a pair. To the back third of the game we go. Ryan O'Reilly and the Otters return to the defensive field. There's quite literally just one job, and that's you've got to keep this game where it's at. Keep your offense 2 runs behind so that they've got a chance to still come back in this one.
Yeah, well, we're in the 7th inning, and that's a golden opportunity for the Otters to score. But as you said the other day when they were on the road, we left so many runners on base.
First pitch to Nick Ward. Swinging strike 1. Ward is 0 for 3 on the day. Hard to imagine where this game would be if he wasn't 0 for 3 on the day. This could be a completely different ball game.
Well, last night he opened the game with a double.
The 0-1 bounces in for ball 1, and the count evens up.
Also stand by. This inning will be announcing the winner taking home a prize pack courtesy of our friends from.
There is nobody warming up for the Wild Things anymore. We did see Christian James throwing. He's since sat down. The Otters don't have anyone ready either, or throwing either.
Well, I'm surprised that O'Reilly's still out there.
A 1-1 is cranked to the right side. Davis will play it on 2 hops to first in time for out number 1.
I mean, what, it said Riley's in the hundreds already?
Yeah, 105 officially.
Now, normally they'd be yanking him if he got to 90.
But he had a 3-up, 3-down last inning, so if he's hot, why not?
No, I agree with you. I'm not pushing him to be out.
Scotty Dubrowl at the plate now. He's been hot. 1 for 1 on the day with a single and 2 walks. When he reached on the single, he came around to score. The 2 walks, both times stranded at third. First pitch he sees here, fouls to the left side. Torres is going to run with it, but it'll get out of play.
I remember a couple of weeks back when George was playing short and there was a foul ball over there, and I don't know how he ever got there and slid in and made that catch. That was one of the nicest, finest catches you'll see in baseball.
The 0-1 is left alone for ball 1 up high. The count evens up. I said all that. Now Christian James is back up throwing again for Washington. Must have caught him during his water break. A 1-1 to Dubrowl. Right back up the middle, over the extended glove of O'Reilly. The throw to first, is it in time? Not quite. Wonderful play there from J.R. Davis, but couldn't quite throw over in time.
It shows you what speed can do.
Davis is quick, but unfortunately for the Otters, Dubrowl is quicker.
Well, we can get out of it with a double play.
The way the last few games have gone, it's hard to say, or it's hard to imagine that this makes sense. The Otters have only turned 1 double play tonight. That feels weird to only turn 1 double play with the way they've been recently.
Yeah, 4 last night, 1 tonight, and that was earlier. Got us out of a big jam, too.
First pitch to Wagner Lagrange. Called strike. Well, Evansville has certainly done what they needed to do to keep themselves close on the defensive and pitching side of things. Need to see them take some opportunities on the offensive side. 0-1 to Lagrange with a runner on first and 1 out. Ball catches the inside. Oh, no, it doesn't count the inside edge. It's ball 1. Unthanked turn like he was going to call a strike and then decided not to.
Well, that's because Buckner picked it up and put it in the strike zone, and maybe the umpire retaliated and said, hey, no, boy. We don't play the games that way.
So now a 1-1 on the way. Outside, ball 2. Good stop there from Buckner. He really had to dive after that one.
Yeah. Hey.
All things considered, Buckner has been exceptional behind the plate tonight.
I'll say so. He's blocked a lot of low pitches in the dirt, which again was curveballs.
Only one's gotten by him, and it was a pure wild pitch.
Yeah.
So O'Reilly will try now on the 2-1 home to Lagrange. First, a throw over to first. Runner at first is Scotty Dubrowl. Wagner Lagrange at the plate with a 2-1 count and 1 out. O'Reilly glances over, kicks and delivers on the 2-1. It's sent towards Khalil at short. He'll go to second for 1. To first. Scoop play for Biermann in time. 6-4-3 double play into the top half of the 7th. It's time to stretch in Evansville. The bats need to come alive quick. We'll see if the 7th inning stretch maybe does the trick for it. Bottom of the 7th, coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. To the bottom of the 7th we go, and a pitching change in order for Washington. Christian James is going to fulfill the duties of relief pitcher, 6'4", 225, formerly of the Winnipeg Golden Knights out of the American Association. 28th appearance on the year, an ERA just under 5.0. The Otters need to bounce on this opportunity. Scott of the Bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It is James on the mound, Alvarez behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000.
Well, let's hope what your predictions were are correct insofar as the Otters don't hit the lefty too well, but do against the righty. We got our righty out there now, so let's start making those bats ring.
Well, the three that are going to try to do just that, Buckner, Torrellas, and Gordon.
The catcher, 24, Devin Buckner.
Buckner taking a couple extra seconds to make his way up to the plate. Wanted to report that Sussex County is storming back in New York. They trail just by 1 in the top of the 9th now. And Florence did find a little explosive offense and defeated Joliet 5-3 in the end. First pitch to Buckner. Called strike on the outside edge. Everyone's kind of had to get used to the very late calls from Ty Unthink behind the plate. Just when you think you've got a ball counted your way, it's a strike.
Yep.
An 0-1 to Buckner. That one's way outside. That one's not going to be called a strike. The count evens up.
Well, I hope not.
'Cause I think on that first pitch, I think Buckner thought, okay, I saw that one well, that's a ball. And then as soon as it got called, he kind of looked like, oh no. The count's evened on him. The 1-1 goes over his head. He's able to duck underneath. A quick fastball got to him very quickly.
Now, did he not get hit one of these games? I'm not sure.
Hard to remember exactly, as Buckner hasn't played in a ton of games.
Right.
I think at some point they all start to run together for
I know
me.
it. That's it. That's it. I mean, you see.
2-1 is skied out towards right center. Chasing in is Brennan. Seems to be underneath. He is indeed out number 1.
Yeah.
Good contact, just got a little too far underneath it. So now the 9-hole hitter, Anthony Torrellas, makes his way to the plate.
Anthony got a base hit the last time up, but got stranded.
Third baseman, number 1, Anthony Torrellas.
Torrellas is 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout so far in the contest. Anthony Torrellas ready at the plate for his first offering of this 7th inning. It's on the way. Stays outside, ball 1. Ready already is Christian James on the mound, and it's a swinging strike one that evens the count up.
Now, I don't know if you noticed it, what Anthony just did. He took the bat and he leaned over so that he touched the outside of that bat. Well, you're not going to be swinging at that pitch in that manner.
A 1-1 way outside. It ends up crossing in the opposite batter's box for ball 2.
What I'm trying to say is his swing is going to be short of making contact on the outside corner. If you've got to lean over, that's the wrong way to go.
The 2-1 sent right back towards us.
And
we do have a netting in front of us, but I have been informed that if the netting's not here, man, Bill's got me.
I was going to say I had it.
Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes for Anthony Torellis. 1 out, nobody on here in the 7th. 2-2, skied out towards left center. Mang going back towards it, makes the catch on the run. Wonderful play that certainly saved a double.
I'll say.
Torellis is smiling on his way back in. He respected the solid play out there and left. Hard contact, just in the wrong spot.
I thought it was a base hit, but all good things come to an end.
With 2 outs, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon, makes his way to the plate. 0 for 2 with a foul out and a ground out thus far. And Gordon calls time there for a second. He stayed time until James finally stepped off the rubber for a second. First pitch home to Gordon. Must have stayed inside a hair for ball 1. Otters are running out of outs, at least in the 9 innings. They're down to their last 7. A foul ball off the foot by Gordon evens the count at 1-1.
Yes, but a lot of games have been won in the 9th inning,
This is
especially
true.
the other night when it was a 3-3 game. The Otters lost there because of a walk-off home run.
1-1 is fouled back by Gordon, and he's back in the count 1-2. In fact, the man at the plate now, Miles Gordon, has hit 2 separate solo home runs in the bottom of the 9th here at Bosse Field that have both tied the game.
I remember
He hit
well.
a 3rd one, but it did not tie the game. We were down by 3 at the time, but
Right.
he's done it before. Gordon steps back in, looking at a 1-2 count. 2 outs, nobody on. The 1-2 stays low and inside, and the count has evened up at 2-2. That's a tough pitch to lay off as a lefty. It stayed inside and then cut in towards you. A 2-2. Zoomed down the right field line. Is it going to stay fair? It does. There goes Gordon around first. Hustling towards second. He's rounding towards third. There will be no throw. It's a stand-up triple for Miles Gordon.
And he wasn't about to stop at second base, I'll tell you that. His motor was running all the way. Now all we need is another break and get a base hit. At least make us respectful going into this 8th inning.
Well, the man with 7 RBIs in his last 10 games, J.R. Davis, is at the plate now. With the run of form he's been in, this is a guy you want to have at the plate.
I'll settle for a wild pitch.
2 outs. All J.R. Davis has to do is lay something out there that can bring the run in. First pitch to him. Called strike on the high inside corner. At this point, the Otters will take just 1.
Yeah.
Because that means a solo home run out of somewhere could even the game.
That's right.
Just put yourself on the board. The 0-1 to Davis. Called strike 2. Just under elbow level, and he's down 0-2 in the count very quickly. A little bit of a breeze coming in from right field as the 0-2 comes home to J.R. Davis with 2 outs and a runner on third. It's grounded to the right side. Is going to end up in foul territory. No call yet. Foul. I was expecting the first base umpire to make a call, but it was actually the home plate umpire that decided to make the official ruling.
Well, that's his call. It's the home umpire's call.
I guess I was looking for the out call because I almost expected that to be what happened there.
Yeah.
So we'll try again on the 0-2 for J.R. Davis. 2 outs, runner on third.
Who was the batter for them that he fouled off 4 or 5? They got that single.
I believe that was Jared Maine.
Yeah, that's what we could use now.
An 0-2, push to the right side again. Again, it's fouled off. Billy easily makes a nice play in the first base coaching box. Big time opportunity for J.R. Davis. As you can see on your screen, Kenny Pearson warming up for Washington. Davis steps back in. An 0-2 count and 2 outs. Evansville trying to find a way to not let Gordon's 2-out triple go down for nothing. The 0-2.
Oh, strike 3.
Strike 3 called at elbow level, and we will head to the 8th. Otters still scoreless. They trail by 2. Just 2 innings left to play here from Bosse Field. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Bud Light. This Bud's for you. Andrew Check to lead off the half inning. His base hit is the only decider in this game so far. He had a two-run double back in the third. First pitch to him here. Stays low for ball 1.
Unfortunately for the Otters, there were several men on base when he hit that double.
Ryan O'Reilly back on the mound for the Otters, by the way, as the 1-0 comes home. Zoom down the right field line, just foul. That ball went down the line in a hurry. So we'll take a second to clear the foul ball off the right field area. McNamee returning back to his position. The count now at 1-1 for Check. Wild Things have a man warming. Otters do not. The 1-1 to Check. High outside for ball 2.
Now, I've got a question for you, young man. Why is it O'Reilly's still out there on the mound when he's already thrown?
2-1 goes right back up the middle off of second base and into center field for a base hit.
O'Reilly's already thrown 116 pitches. Now, we've had pitchers that have gotten 95, 96, and we've yanked them. Why is O'Reilly still out there?
I think it was the last 2 innings. He's been very good in the last 2, and they've wanted to give him a shot.
So you're saying that the pitch counts don't count then? I mean, I would.
I think it just kind of depends on the guy. There's been a couple this year that they really have had strict pitch counts on, and some guys they haven't.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say take that pitch count and put it in your back pocket and lock it.
First pitch to Walters, in there for a called strike one. Jake Polancic throwing for the Otters out in right field now. Polancic closed out last night's game. 0-1 the count for Ian Walters. O'Reilly checks him down over at first. And the 0-1 will make its way home. Showing bunt is Walters right back up
First base.
O'Reilly. He'll throw to first in time for out number one. So a fielder's choice sacrifice bunt has moved check to second.
I like this manager's style of play. He's looking for that insurance run. Because all you need is get one of those runners, Otters on base. Guy hits it out of the ballpark, you're tied.
They'll bring up the left fielder, Jared Ming, who's 1 for 3 with a single so far. And with it, Buckner's going to go out and have a quick chat about signs. Very quick chat. Runner out at second is Andrew Check with 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning.
You know, that never was a problem during my period of playing professional baseball. And I don't mean for myself. I'm talking about mostly every catcher. They didn't steal our signs when the runner's on second.
First pitch to Mang's inside for ball 1. Might just be one of the many ways the game's evolved in the especially recent years.
If you're still going back to the prehistoric days of 1 for a fastball, 2 for a curve, yes, okay.
A 1-0 comes in for a called strike 1 at the elbows.
But those days are gone. Now they use all kinds of signs.
A 1-1 for Jared Ming with 1 out and 1 runner on second. It's pushed to the right side, well foul. It'll get out of play, and he falls back in the count 1-2.
There was an old manager who was a catcher in his playing days by the name of Pinky May. He was managing Burlington. And one night in front of the then Dode Hotel, he says, you know, before the season's over, I'm going to get your signs. And he came close to knowing what they were, but never did get them.
A 1-2 for Jared Ming. A half swing. They say no swing. They say it was out of the zone. The count evens up at 2-2. Runner at second with 1 out. Ming trying to help out the Wild Things. The 2-2 comes home. Pushed out towards right field. McNamee running in towards it, and it lets it bounce in front of him for a single. There's runners on the corners. Smart play by McNamee there. Didn't want to try to charge too much and risk it getting way past him and another run scoring.
Well, you know, this runner was on base. He kept looking and just looking, and he wasn't going to take no chance to be running at home. That was a smart move on his part, smart move on. Oh, here comes Max. We're going to get a new pitcher now.
There's runners on the corners with 1 out. Peterson making his way out towards the bump now. Still no indication we're going to see a new pitcher. And it looks like this is just a conversation. For what it's worth, Ryan O'Reilly is at 123 pitches, but the last 2 innings have been solid for him. But here in the 8th, he's given up 2 base hits to the first 3 he's seen. Whole infield comes in to pass the rosin bag around and grab a handful of mound dust to just get the hands cleaned off. Discussion still going on up there. Ty Unthink gives a couple of his thoughts as well. And now Unthink and Peterson will make their way back towards behind home plate in the dugout. Whatever Peterson was saying, he was talking all the way back to Unthank, and it looked like a one-way conversation. Whatever he happened to be saying.
Well, I think the umpire's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I thought so too.
A little delayed on his calls, but outside of that, he's calling a good game.
Cole Brandon at the plate with runners on the corners and 1 out. Otters would love a double play. Buckner will step up and give signs to his infield as they ready for the first pitch to Brandon. Brandon's 1 for 3 on the night. First pitch home to him. Zoom towards Davis. He'll play to second. Did he get one? I'm not sure. To first. Was a delayed throw. It gets past Biermann. A run's going to score. And the runner will make it all the way to second. Khalil double pumped for some reason out there. And because of it, they don't get the second outs.
Designated hitter number 17.
And a run scores for the Wild Things.
And we should have an error on that play because the runner went first to second. So do we give the shortstop the error?
Officially, it's 4-6 on the fielder's choice. That allows Brandon to reach first, and he'll reach second, likely on the error on Khalil.
Yeah. So now we're 3 runs down instead of 2.
First pitch to Nico Pacheco. And stepping off is O'Reilly. Huge chance for the Otters defense to get themselves out of it. They're not quite able to. O'Reilly stares over towards third. The first pitch to Pacheco. Zoom towards Khalil. He'll play it on a roll. The throw to first is accurate and on time. This time for out number 3. Not before an insurance run scores on the air for the Wild Things. We head to the bottom half of the 8th. Otters now trail by 3. To the bottom of the 8th we go, and a pitching change necessary for the Wild Things. Kenny Pearson will get the nod for the second consecutive night. The 6'4" lefty will step up on the bump here at Bosse Field, ready to face Biermann, Baez, and Sinsley in the half inning. It's his 24th appearance of the season. Scotty Dubrowl is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Pearson on the mound. Alvarez behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Well, this is it. Otters have 6 outs left. They've got to find something here before Washington gets to their very good closer, Lucas Young, who's one of the best in the league.
Well, the Otters have had men on base. It's just no one has brought them home.
Evansville is up to 8 men left on this evening. Certainly need to find something. So Biermann at the plate, ready to lead off the half inning. So far for Biermann, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a flyout. His flyout was well hit, just died on its way out towards right center. First pitch to Biermann. Stays outside, ball 1. Little lefty-lefty matchup here with Biermann at the plate and Pearson on the mound. A 1-0, swinging, strike 1, evens the count up.
That was ball 2.
Lucas Young warming up for Washington out there in left field, their closer. Logan Sawyer standing on the mound in the Otters bullpen, hoping they can grab a couple of runs and he can start to throw. 1-1 stays outside for ball 2.
Well, right now it should be 3 balls and no strikes, and we might have had our first runner on base in the 8th inning. But we'll have to watch his pitch.
A 2-1. Zoom down the right field line, just a hair foul. And I had it wrong. It's not Logan Sawyer down there tossing. I think it's still Jake Polancic, to be honest with you.
Well, I wonder why Sawyer would be warming up anyway. I mean,
probably just in case the game got close. The Otters put together a little run.
Yeah.
2-2 for Biermann. A swinging strike 3, and he's got a hat trick of them tonight.
Left fielder, 33, Jeffrey Baez.
That will bring up Jeffrey Baez, who's 1 for 3, a single his last time up, but he was stranded at second. Can't say the Otters didn't have chances in this evening's game. Had a triple last inning they were unable to bring anything home on, and 2 separate innings with 2 runners on.
Well, I'm going to say they had plenty of opportunity throughout the whole game.
First pitch to Baez, he's ahead of it for strike 1.
They're going to pitch this guy at off-speed stuff the rest of the year. He better start learning to meet that pitch.
The 0-1
Strike.
stays inside, and the count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike. It is indeed still Jake Polancic throwing. One for Jeffrey Baez. Another pitch inside. This one's ball 2. That's been an iffy pitch for Baez tonight. A lot of time called strikes.
Yeah, he's been jumping away and assuming they were inside. But, you know, you look at where he stands in the batter's box to where the plate is. I mean, you're talking about at least 18 inches away from the plate. So if you're jumping away, I don't know.
A 2-1. Inside again. That one almost caught the foot of Baez for ball 3. These two will conclude their 3-game set tomorrow evening with a Dog Days of Summer at 5:05 p.m. Sponsored by Astound. If you go visit Astound, I'm pretty sure you can get a free ticket voucher, and I believe it has a food voucher for a hot dog and drink as well. 3-1 is lifted out towards right center field. Going over is Brandon. He thinks he's underneath it, and indeed he is for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, those different organizations were advertising free tickets with a free hot dog. Yes.
Again, that's a 5:05 first pitch tomorrow. If you can't join us in person, join us here on either the Otters Digital Network or Flow Sports. Bill and I will bring you every pitch as the Otters and Wild Things both conclude their pre-All-Star break festivities.
And it'd be good if the Otters and Washington left here Sunday tied for first place.
Sinsley looking at a 0-1 count after taking the first pitch on the outside edge. There's 2 outs and nobody on here in the bottom of the 8th. Hefty swinging strike 2 has him back in the count, and he looks frustrated after that swing.
You know, you were talking about him hitting some gigantic home runs in batting practice.
An 0-2 stays low.
There was a Boston Brave and Milwaukee Brave player by Mickey McGuire. He came out of New York. He was an outfielder. If he took 10 pitches at home during batting practice, he hit 10 balls out of the ballpark. He had more power and he could run like a deer, and he had a great arm.
A 1-2 sent bouncing towards the first base side. Jabril will play it on 2 hops to first in time, and we head to the 9th inning. Otters trail by 3. Jake Plancic is going to come in and try to keep the game where it's at. Jake Plancic coming in to try to keep this game where it's at. Currently a 3-0 advantage for Washington. Plancic pitched last night as well in the opportunity. Plancic gave up 1 run on 2 hits in 1 full inning of work, but was able to keep the Otters ahead in their 6-2 to win. This Call to the Bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Plancic on the mound. Buckner behind the plate. The pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Plancic ready for his final warm-up pitch before he throws to Alvarez, Ward, and Dubrowl. It's a difficult part of the lineup to pick up at. The final line for Ryan O'Reilly this evening. He gives up 3 runs on 9 hits in 8 full innings. He walked 4, struck out 7. Of the 123 pitches he threw, 80 were strikes.
The catcher, number 11.
Not a bad night, but it's a shame it'd be on the losing end.
Alex Alvarez at the plate, 1 for 3 in the game. The first option to him here. Called strike on the inside edge.
Well, the Otters have got to muster some base hits, bunch them together. And
0-1 is a swinging strike 2, and Alvarez is back early in the count.
They got 3 chances in the bottom of the 9th.
And they'll have to make the most of them. A little bit of a wait for Plancic. Now he's ready to go on the 0-2. On the way to Alex Alvarez. Called strike 3 on the outside edge. And throwing the bat is Alvarez, and he's immediately tossed from the game. He's going to chase around Ty Unthank. An immediate toss from the game, and here comes his coaches trying to pull him back.
Well, I want to say I think he's got reason. That was a terrible called strike 3.
Yeah, he definitely has an argument there, but it's still a bad look to throw the equipment. Here comes the helmet now as well. Very frustrated Alex Alvarez has just been tossed from the game.
Well, what I would say is, what's it cost you? $50 now a game?
And here comes the bubblegum bucket as well out of the dugout as well. And Devin Buckner is going to make the fans happy. He picks up a piece of bubblegum and tosses it in his mouth. Meanwhile, the manager for Washington, Tom Vaith, is still conversating with the home plate umpires. As far as I know, he has not been tossed in the game. He's still having a civil conversation,
Right. Yeah.
at least civil enough to keep himself in the game. But he is starting to be guided away.
Well, like I say, I thought he's justified Alvarez. I don't agree with his action, but I do agree it was a bad call.
Yeah, it certainly didn't look like a strike, but unfortunately the tossing of the bat is just something that you can't do.
Well, that if it's $50 for being thrown out of the game, it should be another $50 for throwing the bat. Showing your displeasure is okay. That's $50.
So we are going to see a different catcher in the bottom of the ninth. Just not sure who yet.
And they got all the bubble gum off the field.
Indeed they did. One out and Nick Ward now at the plate. Nobody on. First pitch home. Stays outside, ball one. By the way, that strikeout is brought to you by German American Bank.
You know, that could be a big play if the Otters go ahead and score 4 runs in the
Could be.
in the last inning. It would be a alternate catcher, maybe a couple pass balls, and setting up.
1-0 home for Ward, and he swings right through it for strike one. One count for one of the hottest hitters in the Frontier League. Swinging strike two.
Well, he hasn't been too good tonight.
Yeah, he's 0 for 4, risking an 0 for 5 with a strikeout here. And, you know, even if the Otters were to go on to lose this game and keep it close like this, that's got to be a win in their books. They were able to keep the game at least manageable, and part of that starts with keeping this man off the base paths. The 1-2 to Nick Ward. Just missed on the outside edge for ball 2.
I wouldn't be surprised if all those Washington batters now are saying, if it's close, you better swing because you don't know how this guy's going to call it.
Exactly. 2-2 the count for Nick Ward. Polancic will try again. Worked just to the inside edge, just missed for ball 3. Jumping out of the way was Ward, but it ended up being a lot closer than I thought it was.
Yeah. Has he thrown a breaking pitch yet, or are they all fastballs?
They certainly have all looked like fastballs.
Yeah.
The 3-2 headed home. Lifted out towards left field. Baez chasing back towards it near the warning track, and he brings it in for out number 2.
That went farther than I thought it would. I mean, that was a couple feet shy of the fence. And again, that you said earlier, it's those uppercut swings that are tailing out there in left field.
That'll bring up Scotty Dubrowl. Dubrowl is 2 for 2 with 2 singles and 2 walks. He's reached base every time. First pitch is in for just inside for ball 1.
I wonder what Miles Gordon was doing out there in center. He had a run to get back into position before the pitch. What occupied his time?
Here comes a 1-0. This one's lifted foul to the left side, out of play. Counts evened up at 1-1. The 1-1 for Scotty Dubrowl. Bounces in on the inside. He's going to say it hit him. And now the home plate umpire will agree.
Right fielder, number 6.
So a 2-out hit by pitch has a man on for the Wild Things.
Buckner and the umpire are having the conversation whether it hit him or not, simply because somebody from the dugout mentioned it to Buckner, and he then started the conversation. Well,
Yeah.
why not?
From this angle, I didn't think it did, just because it bounced right back past the hitter. So
Right.
if it did, it must have been a little bit of a graze, I guess.
Yes.
Of course, our angle is a little bit skewed, so it is hard to see some of those. Wagner Lagrange at the plate now. First pitch inside for ball 1. Way inside, actually, near the knees. Again, right-handed pitcher Darren Osby and right-handed pitcher Austin Gossman face off tomorrow at 5:05 p.m. in the series finale between these two squads. The 1-0 home to Lagrange. There goes the runner towards second. The throw out just a little bit behind. And that's a stolen base for Dubrowl, his second of the day.
And Buckner threw that to second base on his knees.
2-0 the count. Long wait for Buckner, looking back towards his dugout.
Benito Santiago was one of the few that could throw you out of second on his knees. He had a strong arm. Others, they just attempt to.
A 2-0 home to Wagner Lagrange. Sharply hit down the left field line, but foul. Will end up in the bullpen of the Wild Things.
And Buckner got hit with the bat as well. On the swing, Buckner got hit with the bat. Of course, he's being an Oriole now. He's biting his tongue.
2-1 count for Wagner Lagrange. Runner at second and 2 outs. Evansville really can't afford to give up another insurance run here. A 2-1. Swinging strike 2, and the count's evened up. You saw there, Buckner caught it and then ducked underneath the bat because he saw it coming his way again. Lagrange has a big one-handed follow through at the end that comes all the way around.
All right, what you do is when he drops that bat, take it over to the fence and just bust it.
A 2-2 on the way home. Swinging strike 3. A German American Bank strikeout is going to earn in the top of the 9th. It all comes down to this. Otters need 3 to tie, 4 to win. And it's coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Bottom of the 9th. Otters trail by 3. They've got to do it right now. They're going to face one of the best pitchers in this entire league when it comes to closing pitching in the arm of Lucas Young. He enters the game as the tied for the 3rd most saves in the Frontier League with 10, a 1.0 ERA in 24 appearances. 1.0 ERA. Young does it very well up on the mound. He's throwing home to the new pitcher, Nico Pacheco, who shifts from the DH spot to the catcher spot. The pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North River Road. Or give them a call at 812-475-9000. And the pitching change is sponsored by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Here it is. McNamee, Khalil, and Buckner. They've got to be the three that get it started. Otters need 3 to tie, 4 to win.
And the catcher bounced that his throw to second base. Now, right now, it don't mean nothing. But if it gets to the point that we get a 3-3 game, I would challenge that catcher.
Cowbell's alive as Elijah McNamee heads to the plate to lead off the 9th inning. Mac is 3 for 3 with 3 singles in the game. Obviously, whatever mojo the Cowbells are bringing him down there needs to stick around. First pitch home to big hit Mac. Swinging strike 1 up high.
I would say take a strike. You're down 3 runs. Don't help him. That might have been ball 1.
0-1 count for Elijah McNamee. Called strike on the outside edge, and quickly, Mac's down 0-2 in the count.
Now that was a good strike.
Defense is playing straight up all the way around for Elijah with an 0-2 count, nobody out. Called strike 3 on the outside edge.
Now that's the same call that he called Alvarez up, and Mac is not going to be as dramatic.
He took a couple of deep breaths and made a walk in. Now Andy McCauley is giving his 2 cents on it. And from the other ear, I know that both Max and Bobby are giving their thoughts from the dugout as well.
Well, again, let's be honest and say he's fair. If he called it for one team, he called it for the other.
It'll bring up George Khalil, the shortstop, with 1 out, nobody on. First pitch
Same
to him
pitch.
is a called strike on the outside edge.
And he called it strike there. Yep. If he's consistent, you can't argue with him.
No balls, 1 strike for George Khalil. Otters asking anyone to be the one to stand up in this situation.
That's another
Called strike again on that outside edge.
That's 3 pitches in the same area. Of course, the first one wasn't as good.
George Khalil ready for the 0-2 with 1 out and nobody on. Stays even further outside for ball 1.
This is setting me up to think of Goose Gossage with the Padres or the Yankees coming in, and all he's going to do is throw strikes and hard 90-mile-an-hour strikes.
A 1-2. A half swing. Did he go? No, he didn't. And the Wild Things go around the horn on ball 2. I think they thought it was a swinging strike, and it looked like it was probably going to be, but George Khalil gets saved by the first base umpire, Mike Fitcher.
Well, the catcher got a little anxious and took it upon himself to throw to third base. Should have waited for the umpire to call.
Khalil gifted another pitch, looking at a 2-2 now with 1 out, nobody on. See if he can make him pay for that one. A 2-2.
Strike 3.
Called strike 3, and it's back-to-back strikeouts looking for the Otters.
There were 3 strikes in the same area, and George just watched every one of them.
Down to their last out, Devin Buckner is going to try to be the man for the Otters. The last time that Buckner had an at-bat at the bottom of the 9th here at Bosse Field, he sent the ball over the left field wall. Of course, unfortunately, in that game, the Otters were down by 2, so it didn't do enough. It would be the same scenario tonight. First pitch home to Buckner. Outside, ball 1. If Buckner can find a way on, Anthony Torrella stands on deck. The 1-0. Fouled back into the netting. Count evens up. The Wild Things and Otters face off 2 more series this year. They both come in the last 3 weeks of the season. They both come at Washington. Those could be 6 huge games to decide the West Division champion.
No more Washington here.
Nope.
Both series will be at Washington. Oh.
1-1 outside takes the count to 2-1. Yeah, tomorrow will be the final game between these two here at Bosse Field.
And it's the only time they've been here all year.
Yeah. Yeah, the first game of this series came right after the last game of the Schaumburg season series, as the Otters won't face Schaumburg anymore. 2-1, left alone for a called strike 2.
I tell you, he's got that particular area down pat. Low outside corner, strike.
Stepping off for a second is Lucas Young. Now he's ready to go on the 2-2. Sent bouncing towards the left side. Walters on a couple of hops. The throw over to first. Gets it in time. And the Wild Things are going to even the series up at 1-1 and retake their lead in the West with a 3-0 win here in Evansville. Keep it right here to break down this one for you. You know, it started for this Washington team in the first inning. They got a man on with a one-out walk, but the Otters were able to work around it, and we saw multiple times throughout the night the Otters work around a lot of opportunities with these guys on. Then in the third inning, we saw 2-run score on a 2-run double from Andrew Check. That followed 2 singles, and because of those 2 runs scoring, really those were the runs that decided the game. The one insurance run that eventually came all the way there in the 8th inning didn't mean too much. That scored on a fielder's choice by Brannon. And we all kind of saw the end of this one, and Evansville really didn't have any answers offensively, it felt like.
Oh, I think that's the whole secret. They didn't have any bats today, even though I think the Otters out-hit them, if I'm not mistaken, like 8-7 or something. Well, 8-9. But 8 hits is quite a bit, although I don't think they gave up a walk, did they?
I'll have to kind of
I don't see
go through things. It looks like 1 walk to George Khalil,
right.
and that was the only one all night.
Right.
Other than a hit by pitch to Gordon. But other than that, Otters weren't given free passes. They had to earn everything. From the 2nd inning all the way to the 7th inning, the Otters got a hit and left the guys on. Every time they got the opportunity, they couldn't do anything with them. And you're just not going to – it doesn't look like this year. It doesn't look like you're going to win games in this league if you cannot make your opponent pay for opportunities. And Evansville couldn't do it tonight.
Well, didn't they in that last road trip, the same thing happened? They didn't get any runs because letting runners stranded. Well, that means you're going to lose.
The win goes to Kobe Foster, his 3rd of the year. He advances to 3-1. Ryan O'Reilly evens up at 4-4 with his loss. The save goes to Lucas Young. That's his 11th on the season. That has him all alone at 3rd in the league in saves. I'll tell you what, this is a Washington team that is very good, and they proved it tonight.
I'm going to say the second half is going to be very, very interesting. Who ends up being in first place? Who ends up in second, and who ends up in third? I mean, right now, Washington could be in 4th place, and the Otters could be in 5th place come the end of the year.
Well, and it's going to be interesting because we have the All-Star break this midweek, and then starting next weekend, your next 3 series are against the opposite division. So these I don't want to say they don't mean as much, but they're not head-to-head in the division. Those 3 are probably 3 series you can really get your ball club ready to go for that last month. Because right after that last game, it's officially August 2nd, and you're in that playoff push.
Well, I didn't think the Otters made too many mistakes today. It's just that they didn't. The bats weren't there. Pitching wasn't that bad. Defense wasn't that bad. It's just that there was no hitting.
Yeah, you got to be happy with the performance there from Ryan O'Reilly. Just 3 runs given up on 9 hits and 8 full innings. I thought it was really good, but the walks didn't help him. And then the 3 back-to-back-to-back hits was the piece that really broke the Otters.
Yeah, and big checks, double. Take that back. Of course, you still would have lost 1-0.
Well, it sets up an exciting one tomorrow, which will feature a rubber match for the Otters and Wild Things. If the Otters can win it, the two will be tied going into the All-Star break. If the Wild Things win it, they will maintain their lead. Regardless, it should be a very exciting one. On the mound for Washington, they'll have Darren Osby, who enters the game with a 2-3 record, 5.40 ERA. Austin Gossman, the newly named All-Star, will make his final start before the All-Star break. 4-2 record, a 2.62 average. Should be a fun ballgame. If you can't join us in person, join us here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports, and Bill and I will walk you through every single pitch of the game. One final look through the Fox Sports WYFX Frontier League scoreboard. Quebec defeats Ottawa 5-3. Trois-Rivières defeats Empire State 13-3. New Jersey defeats Tri-City 8-1. New York defeats Sussex County 6-5. Florence defeats Joliet 5-3. Lake Erie defeats Windy City 6-2. And in their final inning, the Schaumburg Boomers are about to get an 8-4 win at Gateway. We're thankful that you tuned in to Otters baseball here. Unfortunately, Otters kind of left a little clueless in this one. Couldn't quite get anything going offensively, and because of it, they fall in this one 3-0. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, he's been Bill McEwen. I've been Matthew Will. Thanking you for joining us for another edition of Otters Baseball. We'll talk to you tomorrow night as the Otters and Wild Things conclude their 3-game set and conclude their pre-All-Star break schedule. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.
God bless.